At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Today, the Mets play the Atlanta Braves. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. Hyundai invites you to make a connection to the road in the new Sonata. Visit your Hyundai dealer today. By Verizon, America's largest and most reliable 4G LTE network. By Southpaw, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, in theaters everywhere July 24th. By Land Rover, above and beyond. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. And by Honda, start something special with a great deal on a Honda, now at your Honda dealer. Baseball in the summertime. Got to come prepared. A little sunscreen for sitting out in the sun. Make sure you bring the flip-flops to stay comfortable. Got to stay with those eyes covered with the shades. It's baseball in the summertime in Flushing. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Braves. Every once in a while, you get one of these pitching matchups like we have here this afternoon. Two pitchers emerging as stars. 2 years ago, Shelby Miller finished third in the National League Rookie of the Year balloting. Last year, Jacob DeGrom won the Rookie of the Year honor. They match up today. You know, he finished third because he was behind Jose Fernandez and Yasiel Puig, so it was a real large class. Jacob DeGrom, of course, his last 5 starts, this is his last start, his last 5 starts, 4 walks, 44 punch-outs. He's 4-0. The Mets are 5-0. He is as good as he's been any time in a Met uniform. And Miller, coming over from the Cardinals in the trade for Jason Hayward, has really stepped it up into the Braves uniform. You know, Jordan Walden was also included in that trade. He's down now with Tommy John surgery. They are so happy to have Shelby Miller in a Braves uniform. He's been by far their best starting pitcher. He's only had 1 bad start his entire time in a Braves uniform. You see his stats from his last start. Yeah, Terry Collins playing mix and match with the lineup. He did it yesterday. He'll do it again today. He has got Daryl Siciliani in the lineup. He had John Mayberry in the lineup yesterday. Those two guys are starting to produce off the bench. Well, what's nice is that they've gotten really no production off the bench, and I think what happened for a week or two there is you thought Johnny Monell might be that left-handed bat. It turned out to be Daryl Siciliani, who's going to give Juan Lagares a little blow today, start in center field. John Mayberry Jr. has finally figured it out at the plate. He's gotten a little more playing time. As his playing time's increased, his production has increased. Mets today claim Kirk Neuenhuis back on waivers from the Angels. We'll see how he fits into the mix down the road as well. So it's the Mets trying to continue their dominance of the Braves. They've beaten Atlanta 5 straight times. They'll see if they can keep it going today. Mets and Braves, all the action coming up on Pix 11. Brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters. Follow the Mets wherever you are with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Keys to the game are brought to you by Hyundai. Take it away, Ronnie.
Well, I love the themes of the game this afternoon. Homeward bound. That's the last 13 starts for Jacob DeGrom, 10-1 with that low ERA. Shelby Miller's just been fantastic, second in the NL. He's always had a great ERA ever since he's come up. And Freddie against Jacob. Freddie Freeman hits everybody. So far, knock on wood, he won't hit Mr. DeGrom.
Got on base 4 times last night, but didn't do any damage. Jacob DeGrom will try and keep Freeman and the Braves in check today on a gorgeous afternoon in New York. Come on back. First pitch is coming right up. Exclusive ticket offer to see the Mets play at Citi Field throughout the summer. For Mets tickets, go online to Mets.com. Mets and Braves getting set. Home plate meeting underway. Kids on the field waiting for their heroes. Bat Boy taking the rosin bag out. Bat Boy at the baseball game is like the last roadie before the concert. Checking the microphone, right? Oh. Bring out the rosin bag, and now we know the band's about to come out and play. And there he is, the leader of the band today, Jacob DeGrom, making his 13th start of the year, and he has really hit his stride after working on his mechanics a little over a month ago. 5 straight starts that have been brilliant, and tries to keep that run going today. Here's the Braves lineup brought to you by Land Rover, Above and Beyond. Lots of left-handed bats in the lineup. In fact, every available left-handed bat for Freddie Gonzalez against DeGrom, who's been a little bit more vulnerable against the left-hand hitters. Braves 6th in the league in runs scored. They had a lot of opportunities last night, came up short. Mets didn't pitch all that well last night, but boy, did they get big outs when they needed them.
Well, the double plays were the keys, right? Double plays in the last 3 innings, which is historic for the Mets. Jacob DeGrom, what a season he is having. But to put it in perspective, almost a year ago, June 21st last year till now, his ERA is 2.18. Only one better is Clayton Kershaw.
And it just so happens that those two, DeGrom and Kershaw, were the co-National League Players of the Week last week. So a little synergy going on there between those two. And as DeGrom throws his warm-up pitches, let us welcome the newest member of the Mets family, Jeurys Familia Jr., who was born last night with the bases loaded and 1 out. At which point Familia got the double play from Markakis. And so Jerry's Jr. his nickname might be DP.
DP, why not? That's very nice.
So congratulations to Jerry's and his fiancee Bianca on the birth of their son.
Well, look at the defense brought to you by McDonald's. The big change in the outfield. Siciliani gets a start in center field. His second start this year. The infield, Muno, Flores, Herrera, and Duda. 3 double plays I mentioned earlier. And the small D battery of DeGrom and Darnell.
Chase Peterson getting set to lead things off once they clear the field of the suits. It'll be Peterson, Maben, and Freeman. The Braves, after a nice run, have lost 7 of their last 10. They've fallen 3.5 games behind the first place Mets. Mets now have a 1.5 lead over Washington. The Nats have lost 11 of 14.
It's just crazy. I was talking to Joe. I was talking to the broadcasters for the Atlanta Braves, and they were talking about if they had any kind of bullpen, they would be right up there with the Mets also. They've struggled.
Well, the Mets could say if they had any kind of offense, they would be
that's the NL East.
Even further ahead. But yeah, everybody's got their deficiencies. The Nats have battled through a lot of injuries now with Strasburg and Pfister and Worth and Zimmerman all out. Right now the Mets have the upper hand, even though they're just 4 games over 500. Bright sunny day in New York. Jace Peterson leads off, hitting .279. DeGrom's first pitch is in for a strike, and we're underway.
Well, hitters, if you want to hit, you better hit early because the shadows are going to come into play in about an hour and 15 minutes.
And Peterson pulls the curveball, just foul. 0-2. Interesting to see DeGrom throw a curveball on his second pitch. Terry Collins was saying today it's a pitch that he thinks is a good one that Jacob doesn't throw enough.
Well, he thinks he throws too many sliders. He would like to see that curveball used more. Nice to see it on the second pitch, as you said.
Peterson has a 6-game hitting streak going, but he goes down on 3 pitches. 97 on the fastball for DeGrom upstairs. 3 pitches, 1 strikeout.
Fastball down the middle, curve down and in, and fastball upstairs at the letters. Go sit down.
A little tardy. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Cameron Maben, who was 1 for 4 last night. Maben among the major league leaders hitting in the month of June. He's hitting .436 since the calendar page turned. 28-year-old just coming into his own. I think once before in his career, Maben had a really terrific stretch when he was in San Diego, but injuries have just derailed him at every turn.
And he's the kind of player that most people thought when he first came up he was going to be an impact player. He is right now for the Braves.
Well, the Marlins traded Dontrell Willis to get Maben from the Tigers, first-round pick by Detroit. 1-1 to Maben with Freddie Freeman on deck. And he bounces one foul at the plate on the slider. 1-2.
Well, they've all bought into these Braves hitters. There's Freddie Freeman. Didn't have to worry about him. Kevin Seitzer, the new hitting coach. They're much better 2-strike hitters. They don't strike out as much. This Braves team last year and the year prior were just a team who could strike out all day long.
They just tried to hit the ball out of the ballpark. But they have struck out the fewest times of any team in the National League. That hasn't prevented DeGrom from striking out the first 2. Gets Maben with a curveball. Back-to-back strikeouts to start the day.
I talk about this all the time at home, folks. You have to have the ability to throw a breaking ball for a strike, and then when you're ahead in the count, ability to throw it for a ball, to bounce it. Give the appearance that it's going to be in the strike zone, and then break it out of the strike zone. Beautiful.
So now Freeman, who was on base 4 times last night, but the Mets showed a distinct lack of desire to pitch to him. But DeGrom goes right after him, and Freeman hits one out of sight to right field. That one makes it all the way to the Shea Bridge. An enormous home run off the bat of Freddie Freeman. The first home run DeGrom has given up in Citi Field in his last 16 home starts. Freeman's 12th of the year, and the Braves take a 1-0 lead. That was impressive.
Well, he saw first 2 hitters get a fastball on the first pitch. He decided, I'm not going to get to 2 strikes against this guy who has strikeout power. I'm going to jump all over that first pitch. And Freeman, boy, it's as long as a home run as we've seen. Maybe Adam Dunn hit one up there once.
Well, Freeman has been hitting for more power this year, and that was an example. His 15th career home run against the Mets, and it's 1-0 Atlanta. Now Markakis late on a fastball.
Watch this follow through from Freddie Freeman. I mean, he starts it early, catches it right, and I'll tell you right now, he can't hit a ball much further than that ball right there.
Nick Markakis had one of the worst nights a hitter could have last night. Went 0 for 5. His last 3 at bats were with the bases loaded, and he did not get an RBI in any of those 3 at bats. The 2 double plays got most of the attention, but it was the first one, the comebacker on a 2-0 pitch against Cologne, that was really the one that killed the Braves. Pops this one up. Flores with the angle. Makes the call. And the catch. Side retired, but not before Freddie Freeman puts the Braves on the board with a very long home run. 1-0 Atlanta as the Mets come to bat against Shelby Miller. And beyond, Danny Muno gets the start at third base today. Daryl Siciliani, his 5th big league start. He'll play center field, giving Juan Lagares a day off. Lucas Duda back in there after a night off last night.
And Shelby Miller that we talked about in the open on the mound. 3-1 on the road this year with a 2.07 ERA. 31 wins, 20 losses in his young career. Look at the defenses brought to you by McDonald's. That's behind Shelby Miller, the veteran Kelly Johnson in left field, Cameron Maben and Nick Markakis already took at bats in the first inning in the outfield. Chris Johnson, Simmons, Peterson, and Freeman, they have 64 double plays in that infield. And A.J. Pierzynski, after a night game, day game, still throwing out the 37-year-old.
And that's because he has caught almost all of Shelby Miller's starts and has really had an impact on Miller's progress this year. Curtis Granderson leads off for New York and takes the fastball up and away. Granderson 0 for 4 last night, struck out 3 times. Granderson, d'Arnaud, and Duda. d'Arnaud moved up to the 2-hole for the first time since coming back from the disabled list. And Miller falls behind Granderson 2-0. Shelby Miller, 24 years old. First round pick by the Cardinals in 2009 out of Brownwood, Texas. Had a great rookie year 2 years ago. Granderson lifts one toward the line, and Kelly Johnson ranges over. One away. Miller took a step back last year. He was 15-9, 3.06 in rookie year. 10-9, 3.74 last year. His walks were up, his strikeouts were down, and part of the reason why the Cardinals decided to include him in the trade for Jason Hayward.
Yeah, he had some control issues definitely with St. Louis. I think he was in between whether he should be a strikeout pitcher or a guy who just gets outs, and he's become that guy with the Braves. Doesn't have as many strikeouts, and it's not as dominant as DeGrom, but having just as good a season.
Now Travis d'Arnaud, 2 games off the disabled list. Travis 3 for 8 with a couple of doubles. Had the night off last night and back in there today and elevated to that number 2 hole, which David Wright held down early in the season. Travis had taken it over after Wright got hurt before he himself went on the DL. And he pokes it foul 0-2. I was mentioning Pierzynski and Miller. Pierzynski was with Miller in St. Louis late last year, and Miller gives Pierzynski a lot of the credit for convincing him to finally start using his sinker and become a more complete pitcher.
Yeah, guy, let them put the ball in play. You don't have to throw 120 pitches in 6 innings.
And d'Arnaud strikes out on 3 pitches. 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Miller. And there are 2 out.
That's that 2-seamer you were talking about, Gary. Watch this. The bottom just drops out of that pitch. Inside and beats Travis. You can see how they tied him up, but he ended up just swinging with one hand.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Lucas Duda, who had the night off last night. He's been struggling. Just 3 for his last 35.
What I think is the funniest thing, they're in this big, huge shift, right? Chris Johnson from third base goes out to the outfield there in right field. He barely got there before the pitcher threw the pitch. I mean, you certainly have to know that before going into the game.
Well, maybe the Braves less than others. I got a note from Mark Simon from ESPN Stats telling me that the Braves shift less this year than any major league team. We were talking about that last night in the context of Granderson not seeing the shift from the Braves.
I mean, certainly not like Bill Walsh's 49er teams where you script the first 21 or 25 plays. You got to know that, Chris. There's Freddie Gonzalez.
2-1 to Duda. And he pops it up over near that short fence. Simmons runs out of room up on the tarp. 2-2.
He wasn't here yesterday, but Lucas got the day off, right? He's been struggling, I think, since getting hit in that right knee. It just hasn't, I don't know, just hasn't registered for him. Swinging a lot of pitches outside of the strike zone again.
And particularly against the left-handers, and I think that's why particularly he sat last night against Alex Wood. Back in there today against the right-hander Shelby Miller, who misses high, and a full count to Duda with Michael Cuddyer on deck. Miller has not won his last 4 starts, but that's mostly because the Braves bullpen has been so dreadful. 2.96 ERA in those 4 starts. And he walks Duda on a 3-2 pitch. And Michael Cuddyer will get a turn at bat in the first inning.
Well, there's some of the particulars. Another talented Texan right-hander. He had a bad start 2 starts ago against the Diamondbacks. That's really been his only bad one all season long.
So now Cuddyer, who has really perked up in terms of his RBI production the last few days. Michael's got more 2-out RBIs than anybody on this team, and he's had 3 of them in the last 2 games. Including one that played in an insurance run last night. And he takes the slider off the plate for ball 1.
I was remarking to you before the game that I don't even think Cuddier's even gotten semi-hot, not even lukewarm, and he's still hitting 270. Imagine if he got red hot. You know, we're talking about a guy who's won a batting title, and I know he did it in Colorado, but his splits this year are very similar. He hits much better at home.
Whoever knew that Citi Field could be compared to Coors Field?
Right.
I think that's the first time that comparison's ever been made. Big crowd gathered on a bright and beautiful Saturday afternoon. And Cuddyer lays off the cutter, and it's 2-1. Michael's one of only 2 batters in the Mets lineup today who've ever faced Shelby Miller before. And he's 3 for 3 against Miller. Miller's 3rd career start against the Mets.
Let's see if Miller gives him a fastball here on the 2-1 count.
Duda at first and 2 out. And Cuddyer gets a curveball and swings through it. 2-2.
Well, that was lucky for the pitcher. That's one of those breaking balls that never breaks. That's why it fools the hitter. Now the fastball away.
And Cuddyer takes it for a call, 3rd strike. Punched out by the rookie home plate umpire Quinn Wolcott. 2nd strikeout from Miller. 1-0 Braves after 1. Lady Liberty welcoming all in the harbor. Second inning at Citi Field, 1-0 Atlanta on the strength of a tape measure home run off the bat of Freddie Freeman. Is that still a term now that we have all the electronics available, the StatCast and all that? Fly ball hit to left off the bat of Kelly Johnson, and Kadire back to get it for the first out.
What term was that?
Tape measure.
Oh yeah,
I mean that goes back to that Mickey Mantle home run in Washington that he hit 565 feet at Griffith Stadium, where they actually did take a tape measure
and went from the fence out to as far as they thought the ball went. Well, I still call it a tape measure shot, and I like it.
Well, it went up there. If not to the bridge, then within inches of it. One that Freeman will remember, and I'm sure DeGrom will as well.
It's another phrase, too, that pitchers used to use in the day. You'd say, someone took me to the bridge.
Right.
So literally Freeman did take DeGrom to the bridge.
Pierzynski 2 hits last night. The 38-year-old catcher has been a tough mark for the Mets early this season. He's 8 for 15 against Mets pitching. And Pierzynski has gotten the bulk of the playing time away from the young catcher, Christian Betancourt, who they've considered their catcher of the future. Pierzynski appears to be the catcher of the present. And DeGrom sails 1-2.
Well, AJ has gotten better as a hitter as his career has gotten older. You see Chris Johnson on deck. He's a guy now that's much better two-strike hitter, cuts down in his swing, doesn't try to hit home runs. I mean, you can't get any shorter than that swing is there to foul off those tough pitches to stay in the at bat.
Pierzynski now with his 7th different team. Started out with the Twins, had a long run there, won the championship with the White Sox. 1-2, and he bounces in the slider. 2-2. We mentioned DeGrom hadn't allowed a home run in 15 consecutive home starts before Freeman put an end to that. Just to give you an idea what that stretch was like for him. 15 starts, the last 15. He was 10-2, 1.4 ERA, no home runs in his last 15 home starts. Since World War II, there's only been one other pitcher who's had a stretch like that at home, and that was Juan Marichal with the Giants back in the 60s. Swing and a miss, and he gets Pierzynski on strikes with a high fastball. And Pierzynski talking to the young home plate umpire Walcott. No rancor. 3rd strikeout for DeGrom.
Well, that fastball, when it's up in the zone, just takes off, explodes right by Pierzynski. It was interesting that he got in the face of the young umpire. He's 28 years old, so a lot of times you'll see a lot of posturing by the players when an umpire's that young.
Here's Chris Johnson in the lineup because he's hit DeGrom well in the past. 5 hits and 8 career at bats, and he hits this one out to center field. Siciliani back to the warning track. He has room and makes the catch. A 1-2-3 inning for DeGrom. Chris Johnson hit it a pretty long way. To the bottom of the second, 1-0 Braves. Enjoying the ball game. Did you remember the sunscreen, Jason?
He'll be in a tank top soon. Is that an A's uniform? Maybe that's his uniform for his team. Yeah, of course.
Got the Under Armour hats going.
Got to have the Under Armour if you're a kid. Got to have it.
Or Mr. Met always serves the purpose.
I mean, got his glove, wristbands, everything. Looks like a player.
Wilmer Flores leads off in the home second. Flores last night in his first stint as a cleanup hitter hit a home run his first time up. Pulled foul, and it's 1-1. Well, we've mentioned a couple of times the rookie home plate umpire Quinn Walcott. Our first look at him behind the plate. Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, working at first base. Gets Flores one away. There were a number of great notes that came out of Flores' performance last night, but I like this one best. He was the first man in history to hit a home run in his first ever plate appearance as a cleanup hitter.
First ever?
Ever.
Mets have those funky offensive stats, don't they?
It's been a pitching-oriented franchise.
So funny.
Here's Darryl Siciliani, who has really looked good coming off the bench over the last week or two. Had a big hit last night after coming in a double switch, stole a base, scored an insurance run. This is his 5th start, second time he started in center field, which has been his position throughout most of his minor league career. And as Terry Collins said today, don't compare him to Lagares, but he's pretty good.
Well, he said that, which I found interesting. He said that ever since he was drafted, everyone in the organization has always felt this young man's going to hit. Just has that kind of stroke. and I think you and I were talking about it before the game today. The scrappy player is back in baseball. The guy, who rubs the dirt on his hands, no batting gloves, diving for balls, running hard, stealing bases, is back in mode.
Well, I think it's interesting, especially in the wake of Siciliani's play the last few days, that the Mets reclaimed Kirk Neuenhuis. Remember, they lost him to the Angels. It's a cash deal, and the Angels DFA'd him, and the Mets got him back on waivers. What the Mets do with Neuenhuis now, I don't know. They might just DFA him again to try and send him to the minors. Siciliani pops one into shallow center. Who's going to get it? Peterson and Simmons, and Maben at the last moment comes in to grab it. It looked like Peterson and Simmons were to come together. Peterson finally peeled off at the last moment, and Maben saved the day.
This was a high-low middle, as we see all the guys there. Peterson go low, Simmons go through the middle of both of the fielders.
Did Simmons try and push Peterson out of the way?
Almost
I think he
seemed
did.
like it.
He was trying to say, Peterson, stop. And I think he accomplished his goal. That was crazy.
Always included in the defense, Simmons.
Captain of the infield and the outfield, apparently.
Yeah.
Dilson Herrera hitting 7th in the order. 3rd game since coming back from the disabled list. And he takes a cutter for a strike, 1-1. Dilson was on base 3 times last night. Double, walk, hit by pitch. And he takes a curveball for a strike, 1-2.
First curveball we've seen from Miller. Big overhand curve.
Danny Muno hitting 8th in the order would be next.
Got to see one at bat last night. Herrera took. He went from 0-2 and ended up walking. Those are 2 close pitches right there that he took. So to me, he's seeing the ball a little better.
Miller has walked 1. He struck out 2. 3-2 coming to Herrera. And Dilson breaks his bat right near the bag. And that's a fair ball. And Herrera is safe at first base. What a strange play. That ball looked like it was going to go foul and then curled back fair, which is where Johnson touched it. And Herrera winds up on first base. Got the barrel of the bat flying by and the whole thing.
I don't think Chris Johnson knew what to do. First, ball jams Herrera and jumps off the bat. No one knew where it was. And watch Johnson. Doesn't really know how to play this. Let it go foul or play it. Ends up just hitting in front of the bag. He could have made the play. I thought it hit the bag. It did not.
And Herrera at first didn't run and then realized that it might be a fair ball, took off and beat the play at first base. And they'll score that a base hit. The first hit of the game for the Mets, and Muno takes outside for ball 1.
We got to see that again. Well, Herrera first running down. He thought it was going to be foul because you know why? It hit foul. And then because of the spin on it, it came back fair. That's why Johnson missed the play.
That's why you run everything out, kids, because you never know.
Watch it, guys. And Gary, watch this. As soon as he hits it, watch the ball where it lands. Foul, yep. Then back fair. Good shot, guys.
Now Miller behind Muno 2-0. Muno getting his 4th start. Muno has already been called up from AAA 4 times this year. And he's probably going back down to the minors tomorrow. Ruben Tejada will come back from paternity leave. Mets have a host of moves to make tomorrow. Dylan G's coming back from bereavement leave to start tomorrow. Neuenhuis might have to be activated. Might have a vastly different roster tomorrow. 3-1 now to Muno. So Muno getting a chance today to play. Meanwhile, Shelby Miller making things hard for himself. He's faced 8 batters, thrown a first pitch strike to only 1 of them.
Well, you'd like to see Muno's game is taking a lot of pitches, working the count, on base percentage, but you'd like to see him be a little more aggressive.
DeGrom is on deck. And Muno takes ball 4. So the second walk given up by Shelby Miller, and DeGrom will get an at bat with 2 men on. Well, this was the biggest piece of the trade made between the Cardinals and Braves in the offseason.
The biggest stat there, you sometimes forget that Jason Hayward's only 25 years old. He's in his free agent year. He's not having a great year offensively.
The Cardinals got a prospect as well, so the full value of the trade might not be known for some time. So here's DeGrom, 5 hits, 1 RBI this year. He's got Herrera at second, Muno at first, and 2 out. And he pops one up into shallow left. Kelly Johnson there, and that retires the side. So the Mets strand 2 in the second. After 2 at Citi Field, 1-0 Atlanta. My Honda dealer. One more game in this series tomorrow with Dylan G against Mike Fultonevich. Learn how to pronounce that name. Then it's 4 games with the Blue Jays, 2 here and 2 in Toronto. Then the Mets go to Atlanta and Milwaukee on that next trip. We'll get to renew acquaintances with Jose Reyes and R.A. Dickey, who pitches against them on Thursday. Toronto is just crushing it. They've scored 60 more runs than any team in the major league.
And they just have an entire lineup of guys who can hit the ball in the ballpark. And on Thursday, you have R.A. Dickey against Bartolo Colon.
Old Man River against Old Man Knuckler.
ARP. The ARP.
Andrelton Simmons leads off for the Braves in the third against Jacob DeGrom, who's allowed just 1 base runner, but that was a base trotter as Freddie Freeman hit one out of sight. Simmons takes a fastball for a strike. 8 batters, 8 first pitch strikes for DeGrom. Simmons 1 for 3 last night, hitting a .264. I was having an interesting conversation with somebody today. We were talking about Andrelton Simmons and Juan Lagares. Both elite players defensively at their positions, both relatively young. Neither one has really shown yet what kind of offensive player he's going to be. And you wonder which one has the larger upside as an offensive player.
That's interesting. I think that Lagares has got to have more power in the long run, but Simmons has shown more power than Lagares in the short run.
Hit 17 home runs 2 years ago, but sacrificed for that, and last year under the old Braves regime, which was swing for the fences at every turn, he had a terrible year. This year he's done a little better, but not hitting for the same kind of power.
Wow.
But as a shortstop, unparalleled.
Tony Fernandez, I played against him in the minor leagues. What a magnificent player he was. Switch hitting shortstop, Blue Jays, with Yankees later in his career. With the Mets, he played here also. El Cabeza, he was known as.
And that's outside ball 4. So DeGrom, who has been walking very few, issues a leadoff walk to the number 8 hitter. Tony Fernandez was maybe not the first generation, maybe the second generation of the great shortstops from San Pedro de Macorís. Actually, the guy he replaced in Toronto, Alfredo Griffin,
exactly,
might have been the first one.
Well, he just was a fantastic player. You know, when you play against guys in minor leagues, you identify him. Boy, he's going to be a star. He was one of them.
He was a disappointment as a Met. Here's Shelby Miller to bunt, and he takes outside. And the Mets only had him for a couple of months, and he had some medical problems while he was here, and then he went back to the Blue Jays, and he was fantastic. Led them to another fine season. Miller just 1 for 22 at the plate, but he does have 3 sacrifices.
See him move up in the box, getting that bat out in
Runner
front.
goes, and he fouls it back, so Simmons was on his way. It's an odd play, a run and bunt.
Was it a run and bunt and run? I don't know if he looked in or not. Hard to do it with the form of Miller. He wasn't even close on that high pitch.
Might have been somebody missing a sign.
Best pitch if you're going against a pitcher in a bunting situation, high fastball, more apt to pop that up.
And Miller set to swing, and this time the hit and run was on. And he fouls it off. Interesting machinations here, particularly against a swing and miss guy like DeGrom.
Especially a guy who's 1 for 22. The reason I say that is because it's not.
Now he's got a 1-2 count.
That's good there to throw over, which it showed Miller giving away that he was going to try to bunt here with 2 strikes.
And he fouls it off for strike 3. So that bat was a mess for the Braves. Somebody missed a sign on one, failed to execute a hit and run on another, and then he fouls off the bunt for strike 3.
I mean, watch him drop the top of the bat because of the slider. He just have no chance of doing that. You can lower your body, can't drop the top of the bat.
So 1 out. Simmons still at first, and now Jace Peterson at the top of the batting order.
See Miller talking with Freddie. Did I miss a sign? Yeah, I think you did, kid. Don't worry about it, though. Just throw some zeros.
We got you your run. Little flare, shallow left, long run in for Kadire, and that's going to fall for a hit. It bounces behind him. Simmons on his way to third. He's going to be held up there. So a pop-up that Kadire was going to try to play on a hop eluded him, and runners wind up at second and third.
Well, you had to know off the bat that this had a lot of spin, because you can see the swing by Peterson. He kind of just massays that out to left field. But Kadire, who was running in, really needed to break down and keep that ball in front of him. And Simmons, once he saw that it was going to fall in and saw the bounce, he was only going to go from first to second, and then even thought of scoring, but held up there by Bo Porter.
Well, that has generously scored a bloop double for Jace Peterson, his 7th double of the year, and so DeGrom has trouble here in the third, second and third and 1 out. The infield back, Cameron Maben the batter. Through the first 2 1/3. Simmons at third, Peterson at second. That's already down 1-0 in this game against an elite pitcher. Right back to DeGrom. He has a play at the plate. The tag. Darno holds it, and he's out. Great recovery by DeGrom. A perfect throw, and Darno makes the tag on Simmons, 2 away.
Well, there's very few pitchers in all of baseball that can make this play, and it's because of his beginnings as a shortstop. He doesn't make it right away, but he doesn't panic, and he throws the strike in there. And beautiful job by Travis d'Arnaud. First, the jam shot back at him. keeps it close enough that he's able to throw that for a strike to the plate, and d'Arnaud allows some room for Simmons to slide and then takes it away.
Freddie Gonzalez out on the top step thinking about a challenge and then decides not to. They saw that replay. Got him on the knee before the foot got to the plate. So Simmons is out. DeGrom dodges a bullet there, but now he's got another one standing in the batter's box. Freddie Freeman, who hit one as far to right center as anybody has in this ballpark, his first time up today.
Almost every pitcher you'll see in that position throws the ball away, because if you watched DeGrom, when he finally picked up that ball, he was almost sideways on that mound because of the tilt and still had the ability to throw the ball there. See Simmons, contact play, so he's going. He gets a good jump, but watch, he's on the side of that hill and still able to throw a strike. Not an easy play.
When that ball first hit DeGrom's glove, it looked like Simmons was thinking, I better stop and get a rundown. Freeman takes a strike.
And d'Arnaud allows it, then sticks out that knee to try to block it. And it was closer than you thought at the plate because the ball beat him by so much.
So first and third and 2 out for Freeman, who hit his 12th home run of the year, his first time up. And he fouls away that slider, and it's 1-2.
d'Arnaud and Simmons have a collision already this year, earlier in Atlanta? I don't know.
Well, most of d'Arnaud's collisions with Simmons have been balls in the hole. Simmons has thrown him out on spectacular plays. He's had a couple of those. DeGrom ahead 0-2. Maben has 10 stolen bases this year, so that's not beyond the realm that he would be going. And with Maben on first base, d'Arnaud wants to flash signs about what they'll do if he takes off.
You want to stop the tempo of your pitcher. I know you got to call the defensive plays, but DeGrom is pumped up here, 0-2 against the best hitter in the Braves lineup.
There goes Maben, and Freeman fouls it off. So Maben was on his way. First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'.
Well, Freeman just decided he was swinging first pitch, looking for a fastball, and got all of it.
I think the word pulverize comes to mind.
Yeah, there you go.
7th home run DeGrom's given up this year, and his first at Citi Field.
This would be a good time for that one curveball or occasional curveball that he throws where he bounces it, just to set up the next fastball up.
0-2. Maben runs, strikes him out. Side retired. DeGrom gets out of a big-time jam with his fielding and his pitching. Still 1-0. Central Park, looking awfully fine on a beautiful Saturday afternoon.
Cost you a pretty penny for that view, Gary.
With the helicopter or the penthouse?
The penthouse I'm talking about.
Yeah, but the penthouse doesn't move like this. Much more economical view here.
Big crowd today.
The fedora lives.
Love it. Hawaiian shirt. I didn't know there was a Mets Hawaiian shirt.
Never out of season. Curtis Granderson, second time around the batting order for Shelby Miller. Granderson flied out to left his first time up. Granderson, d'Arnaud, and Duda with the Mets down a run in the third. And Curtis takes a fastball for a strike. Well, Miller's faced 10 batters. That's 8 first pitch balls he's thrown to the first 10 batters. Granderson gets under one. And Maben waiting for it. One hands it. Almost dropped one that way last night. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Tom Warner Cable. Enjoy more shows on more screens. Tom Warner Cable. Enjoy better.
Shelby Miller reminds me a little bit of the Wisconsin native Jordan Zimmerman for the Nationals. Just a big raw bone kid, strong legs, big back. That's how they get all that power.
Well, he came within a whisper this year of powering his way to a no-hitter. It was in May against the Marlins in Miami. 8 2/3 without allowing a hit before Justin Bour singled to break it up. Curveball off the plate, 1-1. But it gives you an idea of the kind of stuff he has.
Well, his whole thing is if he's got the breaking ball and he's throwing it for strikes, then he's just such a tough mark. People that face him say that the ball just jumps on you.
d'Arnaud pops one foul. That'll come back out of play. Coming into the day, Shelby Miller sits second in the National League in earned run average behind Garrett Cole, who already has 9 wins. Miller only has 5 wins, but most of that is because the Braves bullpen has just been so awful.
ERA doesn't always represent the best pitchers in the league. It certainly does this year.
On that list, and right behind those 5 is Jacob DeGrom, who is 6th. Curveball, d'Arnaud hits it out to center field. Maben circles over and gets there for the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Well, this was May 17th in Miami. Shelby Miller 1 out away from a no-hitter, dominating all afternoon. And then in the 9th, Justin Bour found the middle of the diamond, and Miller had to settle for a 2-hitter on that day.
It was so interesting to see the reaction, not of Miller when he gave up the base hit, but of the catcher Przinsky. He just was so upset. When you get to a certain age, you want to catch another no-no.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? As Duda goes the other way, smacks it out to left. Kelly Johnson back, and it goes off his glove. Duda on his way to second, and he's in standing. Johnson retreated nicely. The former infielder, though, couldn't seal the deal, and it went off his glove. And we'll see how they score it.
Well, his problem was he stopped his feet. If he just kept running instead of jumping at the end, just keep running, and the play would have been easier. I wonder if the shadows played any part. There was sun and shadows right where the ball ended up, and it hits off his glove. But Johnson is a converted infielder, outfielder, back to infield. Now he's outfielder again.
They'll scored a double for Duda, his 18th double of the year. There you see the shadows running reference, and those are going to become more pronounced as the afternoon goes along. So Michael Kadire, another 2-out RBI opportunity. There's the line from that near no-hitter for Shelby Miller. That was the closest thing to a no-hitter in the major leagues until Chris Heston came along the other night.
I mean, just to see a shutout in the major leagues is something that's very rare these days.
It's interesting, isn't it? After Heston threw the no-hitter here on Tuesday night, Mets have scored 5 runs in each of the last 3 games, which is it matches their longest stretch all year of scoring 5 runs in consecutive games.
Matches about the same time Mr. Darno got back in the lineup too.
That's a good point. Miller ahead on Kadire 0-2. And Michael lifts one to right field, chasing Markakis back, but he's got room onto the warning track to get it, and that retires the side. A double and one left. We played 3 at Citi Field. Braves and Miller leading 1-0. First post-game concert of the season presented by Pepsi and included in the price of your ticket. Legendary classic rock artist Steve Miller Band will perform after the Mets take on the Reds. Get to Mets.com/concerts to learn more. Take your big old jet airliner.
There you go.
I didn't know Keith was here today.
He's definitely not.
He wouldn't be sitting there. I know that.
No, he's the front row kind of guy.
Nick Markakis leads off in the 4th inning, 1-0 Atlanta on the strength of a Freddie Freeman first inning home run off Jacob DeGrom. Markakis popped up his first time up. So what do you make of the curious case of Nick Markakis? Do you think that the disc surgery he had in December has sapped his power?
Well, I think what has happened is that he's played hurt the last couple of seasons. He always was a guy who had incredible doubles power, hit over 50 doubles, 2 or 3 times in his career. A guy that would hit 15 to 20 home runs. I think he's played hurt the last couple of years. I think this year he's not 100%, but I think he will be at some point because of the neck surgery.
He's had as many as 23 home runs in a season, 141 in his career, but not one yet as an Atlanta Brave.
But that ballpark in Camden Yards is different than Turner Field. Bigger park.
But I don't know if he gets 4 years, $44 million, if they think he's going to be a singles hitter. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. You're thinking he's going to be 15 to 20 and 80 to 100 in there.
Give you great defense in right field, which he has.
Everyone does say about him the same kind of things that are said about Michael Kadire, though. Great clubhouse guy, quiet, but what he says carries a lot with the younger players.
DeGrom ahead 1-2, and the breaking ball hit to the left side. Muno has a scoot right on by him. And Markakis is safe at first. Well, it's been a big hole at third base ever since the captain went down in the middle of April, and Muno unable to come up with that ground ball. It's an error, giving the Braves a leadoff base run.
The defense has just been, I don't know, it's absurd at third base that some of these plays are, not that they're not made, but how they're missed. I mean, it's the simplest of plays. But to me, I don't know, it looks to me like it's nerves that are affecting some of these plays, because you just don't miss that ball like that with the repetition these guys get.
So it's going to be interesting. We mentioned that Ruben Tejada will be back tomorrow from paternity leave. Kelly Johnson takes a strike and it's 0-2. Do you put, with Herrera now back at second base, do you just put Ruben at third and tighten up your defense that way?
I would. I'd put Ruben at third base. Hopefully he gets that bat hot again. But you know, you can't continue to throw out this good pitching.
Strike three as Johnson is out on 3 pitches, 6 strikeouts for DeGrom.
And not back it up with some good defense, or you're just asking them to strike out the world.
But that's the thing about Ruben. Even if he doesn't hit, he's probably your best defensive player at 3 different positions. So wherever you put him, you're gonna tighten up the defense.
I like Ruben in the lineup, absolutely.
Now in another week, the Mets should have Daniel Murphy back, and that will complicate matters a little bit more. You know you can play Murphy somewhere, whether it's at second or at third. So 1 out and 1 on. Now A.J. Przinsky, who struck out his first time up. And he goes after a breaking ball, 0-1. Well, DeGrom has struck out 6 over 3 1/3. The strikeouts continue to roll. He's made a tremendous defensive play to save himself a run. The one long ball, the only mark on his ledger. And so far, the Mets unable to respond against Shelby Miller. So I think you could say that this has gone about as you would have had expected going into this afternoon.
Yeah, and I think it's going to just get more difficult for the hitters here for the next hour because of the shadows.
By the way, this is DeGrom's last start as a 26-year-old. He'll turn 27 on Friday, which is when he's scheduled for his next start in Atlanta. Tap to short. Can they turn 2? Herrera with the turn. In time to double up Pierzynski. Side retired. 6-4-3 double play erases Munoz error. Middle of the 4th. Still 1-0 Atlanta.
You know, they're highbrow. If they need a roof, snap to it. They produce a roof.
They just retrofit it.
Forget about it.
No problem.
Yeah. Give me 2 months. Well,
a couple more $50 strawberries and cream and you're all set. Well, no roof here, and certainly don't need one today on a beautiful summer day. Actually, technically, it's not summer yet. Still got a week or so to go. Wilmer Flores leads off in the home 4th, and he bounces one toward the hole. Simmons on the backhand has trouble with it for a moment, but recovers in time to get Flores. Folks watching Simmons this year have said there have been more plays like that where he just hasn't been perfect.
It's not only that. Very rarely do you see a guy of his quality play, backhand it, not make it, and pick it up with his glove. almost every guy that's a good defensive player would pick it up with their bare hand. Lucky he has that 95-mile-an-hour arm to throw it out, throw it over there.
Fantastic. Great range, great arm, great hands. He's the whole package. Here's Siciliani, who flied to center his first time. Siciliani getting the start in center field today. Just a day off for Juan Lagares. The backdoor breaking ball for a strike. 0-2.
The Mets needed something to happen for their bench, didn't they, Gary? They had been struggling so much, and finally Siciliani started to get going. Mayberry started to get going a little bit.
Siciliani down on the high fastball. Third strikeout of the day for Miller.
You know, most people will tell you that you can't stare at the target, so you got to take your eye off it for just a second. It's hard to stare where you want to throw for the full motion. So Miller does it by looking down first, and that great classic follow through. Look at that right leg, how high it is. It's 6 feet plus high.
Here's Dilson Herrera with 2 out. He bluffs the bunt and takes a strike with Chris Johnson playing back.
It's not downward facing dog, but try to do that 125 times a day.
I just want to know one thing. How do you feel to ground ball with your back turned to home plate?
Well, he does not finish, and in fact, if you ask people when he does struggle, he ends up almost falling off to first base or falling towards second base in his release. When he gets everything going towards the plate, that's when he's at his best. I mean, he's one of the best schoolboy pitchers of his day when he came up, first round pick, and he threw 4 or 5 no-hitters his senior year.
He was going to go to Texas A&M, but the Cardinals took him in the first round and signed him out of high school. And Herrera goes down on the fastball, so back-to-back strikeouts for Miller as the shadows begin to take effect. We played 4 innings at Citi Field, 1-0 Braves. Today's high-speed pitch comes from Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. It's been a high-octane showcase so far between DeGrom and Miller.
You know, as DeGrom's mechanics have gotten better over the last 5 or 6 starts, his speed has gotten better on his fastball. Well, his fellow Stetson product, Chris Johnson, leads off.
Johnson and DeGrom did not play together at Stetson. They're about 4 years apart. But they are part of the Stetson Hatters fraternity, along with reigning AL Cy Young winner Corey Kluber.
I know when I was in college, if you went down to play in Florida, you had to play Stetson, Rollins, Eckerd. Those were the schools to play, other than University of Miami, of course.
How'd that go?
University of Miami, not so good. The other teams, it depended on who was on the mound, whether we had a chance against some of those teams, because they were right in midseason.
Should I mention Columbia's shutout win over Miami in the tournament a couple of weeks ago? Or should I mention the 21-3 loss? 2-2 to Johnson.
I'd stay positive, Gary.
Strike 3 called. Johnson caught looking. 7 strikeouts for Jacob DeGrom. 1 out in the 5th. Well, you referenced this, Ronnie, and you were right on that Andrelton Simmons and Travis d'Arnaud had come together earlier this year.
Well, first, a good play by DeGrom to get it. d'Arnaud with a good block. And then I just remember in Atlanta it happening, and it was a play to first base that Simmons was coming on contact again and ran right over d'Arnaud. So they've got a little thing building back and forth between each other.
I think we said at the time it was the first collision we had seen at home plate since they put in the new rule last year.
It's interesting to see Travis there asking Simmons asking d'Arnaud, are they all right? That's certainly something that is more of today's game.
How would Keith express that? Something about team crumpets?
I think country club he would call it. But
Simmons walked his first time up, the only walk for DeGrom today. Well, it's got to be such a feeling for a pitcher right now, especially hard throwers like DeGrom and Miller, to pitch from sunlight through shadow back into sunlight.
Well, once you get to 2 strikes, you just don't want to throw anything for a strike. You want to throw it up in their eyes, break it off the plate. They're going to swing.
Overdued his head, and Simmons has himself a base hit. So shadows or no, Simmons able to go the other way and pick up the 3rd Atlanta hit.
But watch where this pitch is. It's a pitch that he wants to throw off the strike zone. Caught just enough of the plate. Simmons is laughing himself like, I didn't even see that. Fastball away. No, it was a good pitch, just better hitting.
Nice effort by Duda. I think that's the apex of his leaping ability. Now Miller, who couldn't get a bunt down first time up, hits one back to DeGrom, and that'll get the job done. 1-4 on the sacrifice, moving Simmons to second. 2 out.
Good bunt there by Miller after the first time. Got a little lucky here because he did pop it up, but he caught it off the end of the bat, so it had a little backspin on it. When it first came off the bat, DeGrom thought he was going to be able to catch it in the air. Well, it's not to be.
So 2 out, a runner in scoring position. Now Jace Peterson, who hit a bloop to left field that got behind Kadire for a double in the 3rd inning. DeGrom was able to work out of the jam. Peterson hitting .350 with runners in scoring position. The top 3 guys in the Braves lineup have all been extraordinary in RBI situations. DeGrom starts them off with a changeup, 0-1. Peterson .350, Maben .455, Freeman .408 with runners in scoring position. It's one of the reasons the Braves are as close to 500 as they are. Hitting .292 as a team with runners in scoring position. Up among the league leaders. 2 changeups in a row, and DeGrom gets ahead on Peterson. That's what Peterson's done with 2 outs.
Well, DeGrom went to that changeup away to get Freeman. 2 changeups here to get ahead of Peterson as he go upstairs with the fastball. Back with a change.
Jace Peterson's hit in 7 straight games now, all since he got a cortisone shot in his left thumb. Seems to have really invigorated him offensively.
Siciliani a little deeper, of course, than Lagares, who plays center field.
1-2 from DeGrom. Struck him out. High heat for his 8th strikeout. So DeGrom piling up the K's. We're halfway through at Citi Field. On a sunshine, shadowy day, it's 1-0 Atlanta. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning against Shelby Miller. This one has been as advertised. Two of the hot young starters in the National League, Jacob DeGrom and Shelby Miller, doing battle. One swing of the bat by Freddie Freeman has been the difference in this game. It'll be 8-9-1 in the Mets batting order. Danny Muno, then DeGrom and Granderson. Muno walked his first time up, and Miller gets a strike. Shelby Miller has struck out 4 over the first 4 innings, walked 2. He's given up 2 hits. Both in other circumstances could have been hits, outs, or errors. Right? I mean, Herrera broke his bat, hit a spinner near third that Johnson couldn't handle cleanly. That was one hit. And Duda hit one deep to left that went off Kelly Johnson's glove that probably could have been caught. One and 2 to Muno. And he fouls off the curveball. Still 1 and 2.
See some real defensive swings from the hitters on both sides.
Well, it's going to be that way for another half hour to 45 minutes. Maybe for as long as these starters are in the game. 1-2. Muno fouls off the fastball.
The best way I can describe it, folks, who live around here, maybe you're on the Northern State Parkway and it's beautiful sunlight. You go under that bridge for a second and you can't see, and it kind of startles you. It's kind of how it is watching the pitcher. You lose that ball just for a second, just like you lose the road.
Second is way too long.
Well, less than a second.
Does it take 4/10 of a second for the ball to get from the pitcher's hand to home plate?
Whenever I get off the Grand Central to get on the BQE, when I go under that first bridge, I can't see for I don't know how long. 1 second, 2 seconds.
I might steer clear of you then next time I'm following you.
Well, you know I'm going at a good clip, so
yeah, that's
problematic.
That doesn't make me feel better. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat for Miller to Muno. And he slaps one to the left side. Simmons on the backhand. Makes it look so easy. 1 out. platinum in that glove.
Yes.
Now DeGrom will fly to left. It's a strand pair in the second. That pitcher's with 21 hits this season, the most of any pitching staff.
A couple of years ago, Ian Kennedy, when he first was traded to the National League, said one of the things that helped him in that great year when he won 21 games is that he had to hit. And he went up to hit, and he said, boy, it's really hard to hit. I'm going to be more aggressive as a pitcher. I think that's what's happening here. I mean, could happen here. If you're up the bat and Jacob DeGrom, you're trying to hit off Miller. And if you can't see it very well, you'll try to take that confidence out there on the mound.
So it might change your pitch selection?
I don't think it change your pitch selection, but just tell you, boy, it's really tough right now. Be aggressive. Don't fool around. Don't walk anybody.
Slow bouncer, and Peterson grabs it. 2 out. So you might be more aggressive in the strike zone.
Yeah, yes,
rather
exactly.
than trying for corners. Now Miller's retired 6 in a row since Duda's double in the third. And now Curtis Granderson will bat with 2 out. Granderson giving DeGrom a little chance to get back to the dugout.
And I think that's one of the reasons that Jacob, he's got excellent stuff, but one of the reasons against a team that doesn't strike out, why he's got 8 punch outs. It's a little more difficult for these brave hitters.
By the way, 8 strikeouts in 5 straight outings for DeGrom. The last man to do that was R.A. Dickey in his big year in 2012. Of course, Dickey didn't have Combs. Knuckles, maybe?
Knuckles, yeah. Anything orange. He was a Mets and a Tennessee guy.
Hasn't been quite so easy for R.A. since he went to Toronto. He started for the Blue Jays today, and they won, but a no decision for him. That's lined into right field. The base hit for Granderson. So the Mets have their 3rd hit off Miller, a 2-out single.
Sharp hit there by Curtis. Fastball away. That's a ball we saw him earlier in the year going the other way with. Starting to pull the ball now. Or hook it, I should say. And over the head of Peterson.
Well, this is one of those situations we've talked about where Granderson just is not a base stealer anymore. Hasn't been trying to run in these spots with 2 outs when he's on first base. It's sure good if he could find that part of his game again, though, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
But those days might be gone. D'Arnaud bounces one foul.
And the difference being is that Travis is a line drive hitter. Yes, he can certainly hit it out of the ballpark and put the Mets ahead. But the chances of that are not as great as him hitting a line drive for a base hit.
So basically you're counting on 2 hits
to
get a run in rather than 1. One time Curtis was a feared base stealer. He does have 4 this year. But most of those have been opportunity steals as opposed to situational steals. And this would qualify as a situation where you'd want to steal.
Well, he's thrown a steady diet of breaking balls to D'Arnaud. If you're Granderson, that's one thing you could think of. Is he going to stay with the breaking ball? That's a better pitch to run on.
D'Arnaud fouls it back. Miller has given up 6 steals in 8 tries this year, and Krasinski's only thrown out 17%. So it's a combination that you could run on if you have the inclination. Now 0-2 to D'Arnaud. Duda would be next. And Travis bounces one down to third, and Johnson goes the short way to retire the side. So Miller has shut the Mets out through 5. 1-0 going to the 6th. between Jacob DeGrom and Shelby Miller. Miller has the upper hand, 1-0 as we go to the 6th. Cameron Maybin will lead off against Jacob DeGrom, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Cameron Maybin off to the best start of his career, and he credits his new hitting coach, Kevin Seitzer, for that, and Seitzer's approach of always trying to hit the ball up the middle or to the opposite field. Now, Seitzer got his hands on Cameron Maybin, of course, the night before opening day, but what he didn't know is that Maybin was actually a pupil of his a few weeks prior to that. Maybin just so happened to be watching a Braves game in spring training when he was with the Padres. He wanted to check out how his old pal Jace Peterson was doing. During that game, Seitzer was doing an interview with the booth talking about his approach. It was so intriguing to Maybin that he rewound it, took 2 pages of notes, and tried to implement that approach while still with the Padres. A few weeks later, totally coincidental, gets traded to the Braves.
Talk about kismet.
Wow, great report, Steve. That's cool. You just never know in this game where you're going to pick up something that's going to help your game.
And in so many cases, Ronnie, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not a difference in approach. It's just maybe different words that click with a particular player. Driven to center field, right at Siciliani, and he picks it off for the first down.
It's just that sometimes the person telling you it just rings true, and you can't explain it. Sometimes it's personalities. I've had coaches that I've clashed personality-wise, and I've gotten a lot from them. I've had coaches that were like almost friends, and I got nothing from. So you just never know where it's going to come from. But I do. Most of it comes from guys who can communicate to different guys in different ways. You know, telling the same thing to everyone does not work.
Freeman chases a changeup. Well, DeGrom got stung by Freeman on a first pitch fastball in the first inning. He hasn't given up anything since. So far, that run is enough to beat him.
Interesting what Darno did there. He put down backdoor slider, held the glove up for a while, took it down, and then put the glove back up. Almost like, hey, throw it here. Like, this is where I want you to throw it. Put the glove back down. Then he started his motion and put the glove back up. I've never seen that before. You know, you see it with, I shouldn't say that. You see it with catchers. Well, they'll put their glove on the ground.
Right.
Want you to bounce the pitch. But he did it on that outside corner. Maybe just trying to be extra careful with Freeman.
Slowly hit, and Herrera in front of it. Yeah, I was going to say, that seems like something you would do if you thought a batter was peaking.
I think what is happening is when you face a hitter as good as Freeman, especially guys hit a ball to the bridge on you, is that the catcher is kind of trying to tell you, hey, listen, this is Freeman up. This is where we need this pitch. We cannot miss with this pitch here. Especially in a 1-0 game.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Nick Markakis, who's popped up and reached on an error, now 0 for 7 in this series. What a glorious day to be at a baseball.
Perfect.
Or as my old partner used to say, it's a beautiful day for baseball.
The Murph.
Of course, it could be 40 and raining, and Murph would say that.
He would.
Just a generally optimistic point of view. That's just missed somewhere, and it's 2-1.
Oh, that's the pitch that DeGrom has been getting. A couple looks in there at the young umpire Wolcott. Close pitch.
Comes back with a changeup and gets even on Markakis. 2-2.
Best changeup we've seen in a while from DeGrom, I think. Maybe because he's facing so many left-handed hitters.
Yeah, more changeups, fewer sliders than he's used to throwing. 2-2. And he didn't get the call that time either on the backdoor slider. 3-2. And starting to get on the young home plate umpire.
That ball was off the plate. Good call by Wolcott. When you get in these games, every pitch is so precious because it's getting late and because of the score.
Line into center, and Markakis has his first hit in the series. A 2-out single, the 4th hit against DeGrom.
Challenge him, fastball away and down. It's better hitting by Markakis.
Well, the Braves have had base runners in every inning but one. Kelly Johnson is 0 for 2. He's flying to left and struck out. Kelly Johnson back with the team that originally drafted him and where he started his career after his grand tour of the American League East last year. Played for the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Orioles. Missed some time with an oblique injury. Was out for the better part of 4 weeks, and yet it's been an important power source for the Braves, a team that has not hit a lot of home runs. He's got 6 home runs in just 91 at bats. There's a good changeup by DeGrom, and it's 1-1.
You know, when you're throwing your fastball 94 plus, changeup sitting around 84, 85, just perfect differential and speed.
Polk toward third. Muno on the backhand has a long throw to make on a hop, and Duda is bobbling it, they say. And safe at first is Johnson. Well, an offbeat one-hop throw that Duda tried to secure, but first base umpire Gary Cederstrom said he didn't have the handle.
Well, there's 2 things you have to do here if you Muno. You either got to bounce it on purpose or throw it in the air, and it's right in the middle. I mean, it was an amazing play by Lucas just to make that play because it was an in-between hop, and see how he tried to trap it against his chest. And as it came up, just came out of his glove, and he cradled it in his right arm and hip.
Almost had that ball in the bare hand. But that'll be the second error of the game charged to Danny Muno. And now the Braves have 2 men on and A.J. Pierzynski at the plate. Pierzynski 0 for 2. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
You know, if you have a little more experience at third base, you know that Johnson's running. You can really just intentionally bounce that ball over to first. That was a long throw.
This could be a lot easier in the AstroTurf phase.
Right.
Markakis at second, Kelly Johnson at first, Chris Johnson on deck. Pierzynski, 38 years old, playing day game after a night game. And he's late on that fastball, and it's 0-2.
Pierzynski always makes me laugh. He's always talking to everyone, talking to himself, shaking his head.
He's rubbed some people the wrong way over the course of his career, but he has lasted a long time as a quality player.
He can play.
0-2 to A.J. Tapped to short, and Flores with a flip to Herrera to retire the side. So DeGrom again able to work around the Muno error. That's still down 1-0 in the 6th. July 24th. Russell Martin home run, top of the 11th. And Toronto beats Boston 5-4. That's 10 straight wins now for the Blue Jays. Giancarlo Stanton, no home runs today, but a couple of RBIs. And Miami has the early lead against the Rockies. And Yunel Escobar is homered. So is Wilson Ramos. And the Nats now lead the Brewers 5-2 in the 5th. Well, it's been exactly what we expected from these two quality young right-handers, Shelby Miller and Jacob DeGrom. One swing of the bat by Freddie Freeman, the difference so far. Duda breaks his back, shallow center. Maben coming on, sliding, and he makes a brilliant catch. He was fooled by the broken bat. He had a long way to come, and Maben, using those long strides, able to slide and make a terrific play.
What a fantastic play. First, Duda gets jammed, and that really has to fool you as a center fielder, but to great speed and athleticism makes up for the slow start by Maben. Big, huge out for Miller here in the 6th. I'll tell you, the netting behind the plate saved some fans from the shards of that broken bat. Whoa.
Michael Kadire takes a curveball for a strike, and Miller watching Maben and greatly appreciative.
Aussie rules.
Kadire has struck out and flied out today, 0 for 2. We talked about it last night, the necessity for Freddie Gonzalez to get his starters deep in the game because of the problems he's had in his bullpen. And here is Miller, 79 pitches with 1 out in the 6th. Curveball popped up. And Chris Johnson calls. Quickly there are 2 out. And nobody knows it better than that guy. I mean, he's been burned repeatedly, especially over the last few weeks. Since May 22nd, those numbers. The Braves 9 times this year have lost a game that they led after 6 innings. That'll give you an idea just how difficult it's been. There's Wilmer Flores, and he has to turn away from an up-and-in fastball.
We've seen a little more of this with Wilmer as he gets more and more successful at the plate. Not that that was intentional, it was not, but pitching him inside and tough inside.
And he drives the next one deep to left center. Back goes Maben near the wall, and it's off the base of the fence. Flores pulls into second base with a 2-out double. Well, pitch me up and in. That's what you get. 8th double of the year for Flores.
Well, you love to see that from your young hitters. Up and in pitch and then get angry and jump all over this fastball. Just quick bat through the zone. 4 feet maybe from being a home run.
So the tying run in scoring position with 2 out. The Mets have their 4th hit of the day against Shelby Miller, and Daryl Siciliani will try and get him in. Siciliani's flied out and struck out in his 5th starting assignment of his career. Got a check swing foul.
Well, we came in talking about Siciliani and the bench and guys getting extra at bats here to try to be productive. Herrera on deck. This could be a big opportunity for Siciliani. If you're the run of Flores on second, you don't have a lot of speed, but it's 2 outs. You have to know that Tuffle's going to send you when you're losing 1-0. It doesn't matter where the base hit is hit, how hard it's hit, you're going to be sent. So get a big lead.
Poke the other way. That's a base hit. Flores to third, and he will be held up. Kelly Johnson gets it into the plate on a bounce, and Siciliani will take the extra base. But the ball just got to Kelly Johnson too quickly, and Tim Tuffle didn't want to chance it. So there you go.
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? And Tim was right. I mean, good breaking ball here from Miller. Better hitting by Siciliani. And this ball hit the left field. One hops Kelly Johnson, or a couple hops him, and he gets to it in time. And the runner wasn't even at third base when he caught the ball. So it's good play by Tim. There's nothing he could do. I just, thinking as the runner, that's how you got to think.
Well, he would have been out by 40 feet, so it was absolutely the right call. Good base running by Siciliani to take the extra base. So now the tying and lead runs are in scoring position for Dilson Herrera. It was 1 for 2 on the day. Up and into Herrera, just like the first pitch to Flores.
Now, this is what we've seen from Siciliani since he's been up. He's got great baseball instincts, taking the extra base. It could be the difference in this game.
Herrera fouls off the cutter. A ball and a strike. Wilson's third game off the disabled list. 2 hits and 7 at bats. Since his return, he's got Flores at third, Siciliani at second with 2 out, with the Mets down a run in the 6th. One from Miller, and it's outside. Pierzynski in trouble with it. 2-1. Danny Muno would be next. '21-year-old Dilson Herrera waiting. He blips one on the right side, and Freeman is there to grab it to retire the side. Mets with a couple of 2-out hits, unable to bring a run in. Miller's still got a shutout going. It's 1-0 Atlanta. It's the fastest, most reliable internet. Jacob DeGrom has been terrific today.
Well, isn't it nice when we talk before the game about 2 young right-handers and how talented they are and what they've gotten. DeGrom has been outstanding, not only with his pitches, but defensively. Now in his last 6 starts, 5 walks and 52 punch-outs.
8 strikeouts today. He's got 1 mark against him, and that was Freddie Freeman's first inning home run. And that's been enough so far for the Braves. Chris Johnson leads off and takes a slider off the plate for ball 1. Johnson's fly deep to center and taking a call third strike. 7, 8, and 9 in the Braves order, with Simmons on deck, and then the pitcher Miller, and not even a hint of action in the Atlanta bullpen, nor for the Mets. Well, that's the most recent 13 home starts for Jacob DeGrom, and just off the charts numbers. Had not allowed a hit, a home run in any of those starts until Freeman got him today.
You know, we've talked about the pitcher, we've talked about the hitters, how difficult it is to see the baseball. We've talked about the catchers trying to frame it. We haven't talked about the umpire and what kind of concentration you must take to call a game when the pitcher is coming in from light to dark.
And the shadows keep changing. Defensive cut there on the slider, and Johnson fouls it off.
Walcott has done a nice job. I mean, it's some kind of different piece of art every time we look at the field.
What's the nature of the way the stadium is structured, with the lattice work at the top and the lights, and every little bit of it casts a different shadow. 1-2 coming. On the outside corner, got him looking. Knees in black for his 9th strikeout.
Well, there's nothing you do as a hitter with this. This is a perfect pitch. Every pitcher in between starts works on making that pitch all day long.
And he can.
And he can. Knees in black is his strength.
So 1 out now. Andrelton Simmons, who's walked and singled to right. Only 4 hits against DeGrom. By the way, we mentioned the bullpens. We should note, we told you early in the broadcast that Jerry's Familia and his fiancee Bianca had a baby boy last night. Congratulations to them. But Familia has not been placed on the paternity list. He's still on the active roster, but he's worked the last 2 nights and had to work hard last night, so he may not be available today. 1-1. He worked hard both on the mound and then, of course, racing to the hospital. Got there a little late. The baby was born during the 9th inning. They say right before the double play that ended the game. Perfect time. He was clearly a good luck charm. Jeurys Familia Jr., nickname DP.
DP.
Shelby Miller on deck. Simmons cracks one to left. It's over Kadyr's head and off the wall. Nice carom to Kadyr, and Simmons is going to hustle back to first. What a play by Michael Kadyr to hold Simmons to a single.
Boy, just played the perfect carom off that wall. Blistered by Simmons. Fastball down and in. Plays it 1 hop and gets it in very quickly. That's the key to that play. Even though the throw was offline, when Simmons came around first, what did he see? He sees that the ball's already on the way in, so he's got to stop and go back. Good play by Kadyr.
So now Miller will try and bunt him over as he did last time up, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Miller struck out trying to bunt in the 3rd, then picked up his 4th sacrifice of the year in the 5th. Old Porter, his third base coach, flashing signs. Muno creeping in from 3rd. And Miller with another nice bunt. 1-4 on the sacrifice, his 2nd of the day. And now Simmons at 2nd with 2 out.
To get 2 bunts down in these shadows against DeGrom is really doing something. Muno's so aggressive, but he knows he can always work at the first base. You just don't even think about the third baseman. Work it between the pitcher and first base, and you'll have a successful sacrifice bunt.
So Simmons at 2nd with 2 out. Jace Peterson had the same situation in the 5th inning, and DeGrom struck him out. Peterson 1 for 3 on the day at a bloop double in the 3rd. 1-0 Atlanta, 7th inning. And a call strike. 0-1. As bullpen starts to crank behind DeGrom, who's at 94 pitches. Jacob has thrown 100 or more pitches in each of his last 5 starts. Still pitching from sunlight into shadow. And the velocity is definitely down this inning for DeGrom.
Velocity is down, and that was a 2-seamer, and that 2-seamer was up. So running on fumes, that makes sense, right, on a hot day.
Well, we heard Colon after the game last night say he was out of gas in the 5th inning. He was able to get through 6. Well, he threw that fastball by Peterson, so perhaps sensing that the end is coming. DeGrom dials it up a notch.
Well, sometimes you know that you're starting to run on fumes, but you reach back, and he did there from 94 to 96.
One-two coming to Peterson. In the dirt, bouncing away from d'Arnaud, and over to third goes Simmons. So he bounced the changeup. It's a wild pitch, moving Simmons to third.
Well, it's the right pitch to throw. You want to bounce the changeup, but he's looking for it outside. It's middle. It's a play that d'Arnaud should handle there, though. Try to keep that in front. Just carry him to his right. Good read by Simmons also.
Simmons at third and 2 out. He's faking down the line. 2-2 to Peterson. Fouled away. Let's have Jack Leather sitch up in the bullpen now with Freddie Freeman on deck. Two coming. Up and away in a full count. Now I'm looking to put Peterson away with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. But now he's got to make another pitch with Freeman looming. And as we just noted, he's been throwing 100 almost every start. He's about to throw his 100th on this pitch to Peterson. That'll go out of play. And he'll have to do it again. You can see from the exhalation there, he is definitely getting toward the end.
I was telling you before the game that every starting pitcher has his tell of, you know, in poker, people have their tell on what they do when they want to bet. Well, every starting pitcher has his tell when they get close to the end. And that big exhale by DeGrom simply shows that he's getting tired.
8th pitch of the at-bat from DeGrom to Peterson. And he just got a piece. DeGrom trying to put him away with the changeup, and Peterson did very well to stay alive.
Well, this is why Peterson is so good with runners on base and 2 outs. I mean, that ball is perfectly thrown changeup after 2 fastballs 95 plus, and just gets the end of the bat on it.
So a 9th pitch coming. Up the middle. Flores flags it down, spins, fires, got him, side retired. Tremendous play. Wilmer Flores saves a run. Jacob DeGrom getting exactly what he needed to get through 7. Still 1-0 Atlanta. Home seventh inning. Danny Muno leads off against Shelby Miller, who still works with a 1-0 lead. Muno's walked and grounded out 0 for 1. And Jacob DeGrom is on deck for the moment to bat for himself. Perhaps in a bunting situation, Juan Lagares has a bat in his hand, and he's walking out to take DeGrom's spot in the on-deck circle. So much for that.
Well, as a starting pitcher, you kind of jump out there. You hope that you change your manager's mind, which never has ever happened in the history of the game.
Well, one thing about it, the Mets have an all right-hand hitting bench today. They put every available lefty in the lineup. And if Muno were to get on, would you be inclined to let DeGrom stay in and bunt?
I would let him bunt, yes. We've seen Juan Lagares try to bunt for base hits, not bad. Trying to bunt to sacrifice, not good. So I would definitely use DeGrom in a bunting situation.
Leaving the helmet on just in case. 2-2 to Muno. And he lines one the other way. Simmons with a great grab. You almost come to expect that from him. 1 out.
Almost like you want to tell your hitters before the game, this is the scouting report. Do not hit it anywhere near Simmons because he's going to make an out. And he leaves his feet. Just a beautiful play. You can see the reaction from the pitcher. Miller has had some good defensive plays the last couple of innings.
So Lagares now is a pinch hitter, batting for DeGrom, who went 7, allowed 1 run and 5 hits, walked 1, struck out 9, and that might be a loss. Let's try to take that away. You would want to be like Juan. Big cut, 1-1. Lagares has been swinging the bat well, 1 for 4 last night. 12 for 33 over his last 8 games. Curtis Granderson on deck. And he hits one toward the middle, base hit. Over comes Maven to cut it off. Lagares with a pinch hit single, and the Mets have the tying run aboard with 1 out.
Well, he just threw a fastball right by him at 95, comes back with a little slider in the middle of the plate, and Lagares was all over it.
So now Granderson, who had a base hit to right field his last time up, might be trying to lift one here to get the Mets a lead. Lagares at first, capable of stealing a base. Not a very big lead. And Granderson takes ball 1.
To say consistently the Mets runners on first. Miller's got a good move, not a great move. But all day today, just very conservative leads.
Granderson fouls it back. Braves get their bullpen active now, with Miller having given up a couple of hard hit balls to start this inning. The lefty is the former Met Dana Evelyn, the right-hander Nick Massett, who pitched last night. Jim Johnson and Jason Grilli are the 2 guys they want to get to at the end of that bullpen. That would require Miller getting through 7.
When you get in that easily as a runner, your base coach usually tells you, hey, you know what? You got in pretty easily. 2 more steps or a step and a half. More of a lead.
Granderson takes the strike. 1-2.
Miller's getting a little tired too, you can tell.
He's about to throw his 100th pitch. He's thrown as many as 112 in a game this year. Only 94 in his last start last Monday. 1-2 to Granderson. And Curtis rips one down the line. That's a fair ball bouncing into the corner. Racing for third, Lagares. Markakis gets it in quickly, and Toffel will hold Lagares at third. That's a very nice play out of the corner by Markakis to save a run. but a big hit for Granderson to put runners at second and third.
Well, it's not all about making great catches sometimes. It's how you play the ball off the wall. First, nice hitting by Curtis. This ball's supposed to be up. It's middle as he rips it down into the corner. Lagares, who had good speed, was motoring. And if it's not played perfectly off the wall by Markakis and thrown perfectly to the second baseman Peterson, there's no way Tuffle would have held him up. But there's really nothing he could do. Played perfectly by the Braves. Makes Tuffle have to put the stop on Lagares.
So now Travis d'Arnaud will come to bat with the tying run at third, the lead run at second. Lucas Duda is the on-deck batter. They've got the lefty in the bullpen ready, so we'll see how they play it here. Corners in, middle infielders back for the Braves, so they'll concede the tying run on a ground ball to a middle infielder. d'Arnaud is 0 for 3. And he fouls away the first pitch fastball.
See that swath of light running right through the shortstop position.
So tough for the infielders?
Tough for the infielders. And Simmons is not an ordinary infielder. The one issue you have here, if you're Lagares, if d'Arnaud hits a one-hop screamer to Simmons, he might come home. You never know.
Toward the middle, that's going to fall for a base hit. Lagares is in. Granderson is stopped. He runs right through it, and he will score the go-ahead run. 2-1 New York.
Well, the fastball in, it does jam him, but d'Arnaud's strong enough to get that ball into center field. Lagares, of course, is going to score the tying run. Once Granderson sees it, you see Tuffle half hold, and then went with the sign. Granderson was coming all the way anyway.
Maben bobbled the ball in center field, which was what made Tuffle change his mind. They're going to give one RBI to d'Arnaud. Second run scores on the error by Maben. The Mets go up 2-1, and Shelby Miller will exit the game. Jacob DeGrom, now pitcher of record on the long side. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon, America's largest and most reliable 4G LTE network. Former Met Danny Evelyn will make his second appearance for the Braves.
Yeah, it's only faced one hitter and walked him, so really his first appearance against the lefty. See the right-handed hitter he faced.
Lucas Duda 1 for 2 and a walk today. Mets have taken a 2-1 lead here in the 7th. And the slider in for a strike. Travis d'Arnaud with the base hit that puts the Mets in front.
Well, it was an inside fastball running in. You see the play by Maben. Catches him in the in-between hop. He was going to try to make a play at home. Once he bobbled that ball, Granderson scored the go-ahead run easily.
That goes to the backstop, and d'Arnaud will go down to second. Evelyn hanging onto that slider a little too long, and the wild pitch moves a runner into scoring position.
I mean, this one not even close. Little cutter by Cleveland. Evelyn, sorry.
Danny Evelyn pitched in 30 games for the Mets last year and was very effective. Went to spring training with the Red Sox, was pitching in AAA, opted out of his contract. Braves signed him, and he's in the big leagues, as is David Ardsma, another former Met who we saw last night. And another slider off the plate, 2-1. Michael Cuddyer on deck. Duda got a rest against the lefty the other day because he's been struggling lately chasing pitches out of the strike zone against the lefties after all the success he had early in the season. He hits that one into right center field. That's going to fall for a base hit. d'Arnaud around third. He'll score. Duda racing for second. Maben's throw is offline. Duda has a double. 3-1 New York.
Well, the lefty-lefty matchup in the National League, they're going to have to learn. Doesn't matter anymore for Lucas Duda. Gets a fastball from Evelyn, drops it into right center field, and hustles it into a double. 3-1 now, Mets.
Evelyn will exit after facing one batter. Duda with the RBI double makes it 3-1. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon, America's largest and most reliable 4G LTE network. 3-1 Mets. We'll be right back. To score 3 runs, none bigger than Travis d'Arnaud's hit.
Well, this pitch has to be a little better. What Miller was trying to do is run it in off the plate against d'Arnaud, but caught a little too much of the plate, and d'Arnaud just stays hot. And Miller gets hot for giving up that hit.
And the stool took the brunt of it. Now Nick Massett to face Michael Cuddyer, who bounces one foul.
Nick Massett had some of his best seasons as a Cincinnati Red. Over here so far you can see his record. He gave up 3 home runs in one game against the Dodgers for the Braves. But effective last night, getting a double play.
Pitched for the Marlins earlier this year, and then signed with the Braves as a free agent. And the curveball gets him ahead of Cuddyer 0-2. It all started with a one-out pinch hit single by Lagares. He took third on Granderson's double. d'Arnaud drove in the tying run. Second run scored on an error by Maben. And then Duda with a double to drive in d'Arnaud. 3-1 New York. And still only one out.
Again, the bench coming through with Lagares coming off the bench to get that inning started.
All 3 runs charged to Shelby Miller, but this has been a recurring theme for the Braves. They have to get their starters deep enough in the game to pitch around their bullpen, and they haven't been able to do it.
Listen, I'm not crying any crocodile tears for the Braves. They've had the best bullpen for the last decade, it seems. So now they're facing what a lot of teams have faced.
2-2 to Cuddyer.
Well, we said it before the inning. If Miller went 7 innings there, it set up the bullpen in a good way for Roger McDowell, the pitching coach, and Freddie Gonzalez. But not getting through it changed the entire game.
And the 2 veterans, Jim Johnson and Jason Grilli, who they are more confident in for the 8th and 9th. And it's the other guys who have burned them. And Cuddyer chases the slider. And Massett has a strikeout. And that's the second out of the inning.
Well, Massett doesn't throw as hard as he did when he was with the Cincinnati Reds, but he's always had that good curveball. And right straight over the top gets Cuddyer.
So 2 out. Duda still at second, and now Wilmer Flores, who banged a double off the wall in deep left center, his last time up. Oh, that one went over the head of Flores on a curveball that slipped out of Massett's hand.
Remember the last time it was up, fastball under the chin. This one just a mistake pitch by Massett. You know that Kevin Long before yesterday's game had to say at least this sentence at some point. Work the starter, get him out of the game, get into their bullpen. They're struggling.
Alex Wood went 6 1/3 yesterday. Not enough. Shelby Miller went 6 1/3 today. Not enough. Flores lays off the curveball and stopped it in time. 2-0. Well, the Braves are 11th in the National League in staff ERA coming into the day. They are not used to that kind of level.
Well, it used to be O'Flaherty to Venters to Kimbrel, lights out every night. A struggle this year.
2-0 to Flores with Siciliani on deck. And it's outside. When Flores hit the home run last night, it was his 10th of the year. He became the 4th Mets shortstop to hit 10 home runs in a season. You probably knew Jose Reyes.
Okay.
You might have guessed Kevin Elster.
I played with him.
How many people remember Eddie Brosseau, who hit 10 home runs for the Mets in 1966?
Maybe you or Howie.
Maybe some Red Sox fans who watched Eddie Brosseau play for Boston as well. 3-0 coming, and Flores swinging, and he bounces it foul.
Love that choice there. Flores is hot. Let him swing the bat.
Eddie Brosseau just played that 1 year with the Mets in '66, war number 1, which Jerry Buchek had won at Warren.
So 10 home runs, no one's hit 20 for the Mets.
Not yet. Reyes hit 19. Fly ball center field, and Maben gets under it, and that retires the side. But the Mets stringing together 4 hits, and they get a lead for Jacob DeGrom, and now it's up to the bullpen. Lagares with a pinch single to get it started. Granderson drills a double. d'Arnaud with a hit, and Duda with a double. 3 runs come home, and the Mets go to the 8th with a 3-1 lead. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Line score brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Big 3 in the bottom of the 7th for the Mets, giving the Mets the lead. Now the adventure begins for the Mets bullpen. Daryl Siciliani moves over to left field. Juan Lagares stays in center, and Jack Leathersich will pitch the 8th inning.
Well, we talked to Terry Collins before the game. He said, Familia is not available. They're going to mix and match through this 8th and 9th inning, and that's what they're doing here with Leathersich. Freeman up next.
Huge batter for Leathersich here, facing Cameron Maybin with Freeman on deck and a 2-run lead. Maybin is 0 for 3 tonight, lined out hard to center field his last time up. And Leathersich, who struggles sometimes to throw strikes, falls behind on Maybin 2-0.
Well, this is one of those highly leveraged situations. There's Freeman on deck, where you got to calm that heartbeat down and try to throw strikes.
Last outing Wednesday night, Leathersich, a third of an inning, gave up a run and 2 hits. There's a strike, and it's 2-1. DeGrom went 7, allowed 1 run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, a wild pitch, and a home run. And look who's up in the bullpen. Bobby Parnell, who has pitched in 1 game in the last 2 years, may be coming into a highly leveraged spot right off the bat. And Leathersich gets a strike on the high fastball, 2-2. And that's what he does.
Yeah, good pitch by Jack. You got to go after aggressively Maybin with Freeman on deck. Make him get a hit off if he's going to.
2-2 coming. It's a little fairer for the hitters now. The shadows have pretty much cleared the mound.
Although interestingly enough, a left-hander, the ball still might come out of a little bit of light as opposed to a right-hander.
All that ragged sunlight behind the mound. 3-2, and it's drilled toward the gap in left center field. That's going to find the gap and go to the wall. Maybin to second, and he'll pull in there with a leadoff double. So Maybin with his 2nd hit of the series, his 6th double of the year, and Freeman will come to bat as the tying run.
Well, that high fastball that was swung through earlier in the at-bat by Maybin, not here, as he pounds it to left center field, played by Siciliani. Boy, Maybin has just changed his game offensively completely to me.
So now Freeman facing the left-hander Leathersich. Freeman has delivered the only Atlanta run with a 1st inning home run today, estimated 437 feet to the Shea Bridge. So 2 big left-hand hitters for Leathersich to face, Freeman and Markakis, and he starts with a breaking ball that misses for ball 1. Freeman hitting .281 against lefties with 1 of his 12 home runs. And fouls off the fastball, 1-1.
Good swing there by Freeman.
Well, this is the first time around for Jack Leathersich against all these Atlanta hitters. Might have faced him in spring training, but not in the regular season. Maybin runs. Darno's throw. Safe. Boy, if you're going to steal there, you'd better make it. Down 2 runs in the 8th inning.
I wouldn't want to check that or check at least the video. Did Muno have his foot in front of that bag? Yes, he did call him safe, but watch Muno's foot from up here. Does he get through the foot before he tags him? I don't think so.
It's close.
Watch it. Watch his foot. Does he get in? Very close. I don't know. I don't think it's clear and convincing, but
yeah, I'm not sure you want to challenge it. Terry Collins, though, is coming out, and he is going to challenge the call. Figure 8th inning, why not?
Yeah. That being said, I don't think they're going to change it, but it was very interesting. Muno just getting his foot in front changed that to an automatic to maybe an out.
And so the Mets are challenging. I'm not even sure that Danny did that on purpose. I think his foot just happened to be in that spot. Maybin reached for it. I truly doubt they will overturn this.
I agree. I totally agree.
But it's late enough in the game that you might as well try.
It just made it interesting with the foot. Of course, the Mets fans are seeing it on the board. They think it's an out. But if it's a tie, of course, it goes to Mr. Maben.
Play under review brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters. Darno thinking maybe, yes, no. Challenge. No never means no anymore.
Well, if you're an umpire and want to get cheers, you could make a decision.
Well, they don't get to make that call.
I'm kidding.
And we don't even know who the people are who are judging the replays, which I think is really a crimp in the system. I mean, we know who the umpires are, and we know that there are umpires in the bunker who are deciding the fate of this play, and we should know who they are, too. For some reason, we don't.
And as I said before, it was a close play. Muno made it closer with his foot, but good call by Lance Barksdale, who was right on the play. Muno's foot over closer to home plate by 3 inches, and he doesn't get to the base. But you're right, he didn't do it on purpose. He was just late to the bag.
You would have to have a shot coming from behind right field to get the difference between the glove and the arm and the hand on the bag.
Like the space station from Mars,
Something
that shot?
Like, yeah. Well, someday. Someday. We'll have all those angles.
It's taking a little longer than I thought, though.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to split hairs, and that's, again, the standard is supposed to be clear and convincing evidence, and if you have to split hairs, then there's not clear and convincing evidence.
Yeah, you just can't do it. Mm-hmm. If this is done, Freddie will be done also for the afternoon.
I don't think there's any way you can overturn this, but the Mets are hoping.
And I like that the Mets took a chance here. It's late in the game. Why not? You never know.
The finger hit the bag almost simultaneously to the glove hitting the arm. That's the way it looks from here. And if that's true, you can't overturn the call. The spirit of the review rule is to overturn the egregiously bad calls.
Yes.
Not to try and split hairs. And here we are splitting hairs.
And that's why it should be decided
if you can't get it in
quickly.
A minute, if you can't get it in a minute,
exactly,
then the call stands.
You also have Leatherstich, who hasn't thrown a pitch. You have Darno and Freeman talking about dinner tonight. I mean, it's it stops, puts a stall on a tremendous game so far.
All right, here we go. And they confirm the call. So it's a stolen base for Maben. And you go back to the beginning of the whole thing. What the heck is Maben thinking? Down by 2 runs in the 8th inning to have a play that close.
Well, they weren't holding him close. Muno was way off the bag. He thought it was going to be an easy steal, and it turned out to be, so close.
Took him nearly 3 minutes to figure that out. So now Freeman at the plate with a 2-1 count. Infield back, of course, with a 2-run lead. Nobody out in the inning. And Freeman pops it up. Shallow left. Siciliani over. Near that sidewall. Makes a nice catch. Maben tags. He's coming home. The throw coming in. Darno with the tag. He's out! Oh, wow! Daryl Siciliani right on the money to Darno for the double play.
We talked before the game about some of the ancillary players for the Mets that have had to step up recently because of the injuries. Siciliani being one of them. One hop P to the plate. Maben tries to get his left hand in there. Darno does not allow it. And the brilliant tag and out for the Mets.
Well, Maben got away with one bad base running decision. He does not get away a second time. And Darno slaps on the tag to complete the 7-2 double play and takes the tying run away from home plate.
Leatherstich. I mean, you never, as a pitcher, thought that could happen.
So 2 out and nobody on for Nick Markakis.
I mean, not only to make the catch going up against the barrier there, and then have the wherewithal to throw that right down the line to make the perfect throw, and then it didn't hit the runner.
And that's a hard enough play for a right-hand thrower, but to have to make that half turn after going to the sidewall and get it away as a left-hand thrower is even more difficult.
I think it's almost like he brushed his hip up against the barrier that propelled him off the wall and into line to make that throw. Brilliant play.
Well, the Mets have made a couple of sparklers in the last 2 innings. Flores saved a run, and now so does Siciliani. And Leatherstich just missed outside. Now it's 3-0 to Markakis. Johnny Gomes is out on deck to bat for Kelly Johnson with a left-hander on the mound. That's Bobby Parnell getting ready in the bullpen. Three and one.
What do we say with Siciliani? Scrappy is back in vogue.
The kid from Oregon has shown his wares over this last week at the plate, on the bases, in the field. Slap toward third. Muno with a great stop. Up and throwing wide, and it goes by Duda, and Markakis is safe at first. Well, half of the play brilliant by Muno, but he couldn't seal the deal.
When you're playing that far off the line, good hitting by Markakis. Ball comes up. Muno steadies himself, but just throws it wide.
I would think that's going to be another error, because once he got up, it was a routine throw.
Yep.
And that'll be his third error of the game. Well, you'd love to get rewarded when you make a play like that, but Muno could not finish it. His third error of the ball game, and now Terry Collins is heading to the mound. Johnny Gomes has been announced as a pinch hitter, and for the first time since opening day of 2014, Bobby Parnell is going to pitch in a major league game, and he'll do it with the tying run at home plate. A huge moment for Bobby Parnell as he comes back from Tommy John surgery, and he steps right into the maelstrom in the 8th inning against the Atlanta Braves. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon, America's largest and most reliable 4G LTE network. In the last 22 and a half months, Bobby Parnell has thrown in one major league game. He had disc surgery that ended his season in 2013. He pitched opening day last year, blew out his elbow, had Tommy John surgery, and here he is back on the mound.
You know, you got to almost wipe out any kind of numbers. What you're trying to think about is what it must feel for this young man to have his career seem to be taken away from him 2 times after emerging as the closer for this ball club, and now thrown not only into a ball game, but thrown in right into the mix to try to save the Mets here in the 8th inning.
Well, coming to face Johnny Gomes, announced as the pinch hitter for Kelly Johnson. Gomes started the game last night and went 1 for 2. Gomes the tying run at the plate in a 3-1 game. Markakis at first and 2 out. And Parnell's first pitch is a fastball for a strike, 91 miles an hour, and that's been the concern for Parnell, a guy who at one time was a 99 to 100 mile an hour guy. He's been more 91 to 94 in his minor league rehab stints. And Gomes watches wide, a 93 mile an hour fastball.
Well, Gomes has 10 career pinch hit home runs, but the Braves this season have 4 pinch hit home runs.
By the way, the 3 errors by Danny Muno, first Met to do that since David Wright in 2006. Tying club record, dubious though it may be. 1-1. Center field coming on Lagares, but he'll have to play it on a bounce. Going to first to third is Markakis. So Parnell is greeted by a bloop single off the bat of Gomes, and now the tying runs are on base, and A.J. Pierzynski coming up.
Just a jam shot here by Gomes, trying to go outside, catches the middle of the plate. Just fists that ball to center field. Markakis, of course, with a couple of outs easily from first to third.
So now it's Pierzynski with first and third and 2 out. 0 for 3 today. Struck out, grounded into a double play, and hit into a force play. So Parnell trying to get a king-sized out here with the tying runs on base. Pierzynski pulls one to the right side, and Herrera is there. And Parnell gets the huge out to get the Mets through the top of the 8th inning. Parnell welcomes himself back to the big leagues after a 14-month absence and gets the job done in the 8th. Mets get through that 8th inning unscathed because Daryl Siciliani makes a tremendous play to gun down Cameron Maybin at the plate. That keeps it 3-1 New York, going to the bottom of the 8th at Citi Field. Your Tri-State BMW Centers. Well, the Mets are trying to beat the Braves for the 6th straight time. These are the games that the Mets used to lose to the Braves, but they have made every key play on every key out over the last 2 days, and from a long-term view, none bigger than the one Bobby Parnell just got.
You know, to hold your emotions in check. Remember, this is a young man who at some time on this diamond was able to throw the ball 100 miles an hour, now trying to get outs at 90, 92.
And I guess my question to you would be, do you think he can do that?
Well, I thought he was more effective when he reduced it from 100 down to 96, 95 anyway, with that two-seam fastball. Avilan in 32 games already for the Braves.
Daryl Siciliani takes a strike. Siciliani has had a big hand for the Mets over the last couple of days. Had a big hit off the bench yesterday, a great defensive play this afternoon. Earning himself that much more consideration to stick around longer, and particularly with the news today that the Mets have reclaimed Kirk Neuenhuis, whose role Siciliani really has taken. Certainly Siciliani in this last week has performed better than Neuenhuis did.
Siciliani's one of those guys I call a get dirty player. Every time after the game, they're dirt all over their uniform.
Dilson Herrera on deck, then Danny Muno in the home eighth. Now the question is, who's going to close this game for the Mets? Do they leave Parnell in for the ninth, or do they go in a different direction?
It looks like someone's up in the bullpen. Robles.
So Robles talking to Ricky Bonas, the Mets bullpen coach. So he might get the save opportunity. Siciliano pulls a foul again. Jerry's Familia is not inactive. He is simply being stayed away from today because he's pitched the last 2 days and he had a very hard ninth inning yesterday, and he
didn't get any sleep
last night after the birth of his son. So it's worth noting that the Mets have roster moves coming tomorrow. They'll have Ruben Tejada coming back from paternity leave. They'll have Dylan G coming back from the bereavement list after the death of his grandmother, and he'll pitch tomorrow. And I don't know exactly what happens with the Neuenhuis situation. They might have to put him on the roster as well. They can't leave him in limbo unless they just designate him for assignment again and try and slip him through waivers. 1-2 to Siciliani, and the curveball bounced foul. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home.
Another thing you like about Siciliani, just in the set bat, you don't know how it's going to end up. He doesn't give in to the left-handed pitcher at all.
Avilan's been one of the better relievers for the Braves this year, bouncing back from a bad year last year.
2013 was his breakout year.
That year he had a 1.52 ERA, a whip of under 1. Last year's whip was over 1.5, a huge difference. This year somewhere in the middle, 1.2. Walks and hits per innings pitched. And Siciliani again able to foul it away. So he is making Avilan work hard if nothing else. Shelby Miller's on the hook in this game. He held the Mets scoreless for the first 6, but couldn't get through the 7th. The bullpen didn't help him. 6 1/3, 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts against Miller's ledger. And it's up and in, and a full count to Siciliani. By the way, Miller's ERA goes over the Koufax line to 2.02. 3-2 coming, and Siciliani pokes one the other way. Johnson has got it, and out by a stride, 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Dilson Herrera, 1 for 3 on the day, had that odd base hit back in the 2nd inning when he broke his bat. The ball first hit in foul territory in front of third base, then curved back into fair territory. Chris Johnson couldn't handle it cleanly. Herrera didn't initially run, then did beat it out for what was scored an infield hit. And he goes after a changeup from Avilan, 0-1. That's began the day a game and a half in front of the Nationals, 3.5 up on the Braves. The Nats are winning 7-2 in Milwaukee in the 9th. Our next Picks telecast will be Saturday, when the Mets will be in Atlanta, 7 o'clock, right here on Picks 11. One and 2 to Herrera with Danny Muno on deck. How often does a player make 3 errors in a game and not a single one cost his team a run?
Because the pitching made up for it. That's why.
But that's the case for Muno, who's got to feel an awful sense of relief at the fact that none of those errors led to a run.
Some bearing down by Parnell and DeGrom.
And Dilson takes strike 3 called. So Avilan gets him looking for the second out of the inning.
Avilan's got all the pitches, fastball, curveball, change, and that was a great changeup.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Muno, who was robbed of a hit his last time up. Andrelton Simmons made a diving catch of his line drive. Danny's 0 for 2 and a walk today. Juan Lagares is hitting 9th in the order. He got the Mets' 7th inning rally started with a pinch hit single, and now he's on deck. Right back to Avilan. It hit his pitching hand, but he's able to recover and make the play to retire the side. So Avilan gets a little pain for his efforts. We go to the 9th. Mets leading 3-1. Something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer.
Well, it's the play for DeGrom here. Wilmer Flores with a fantastic play up the middle. DeGrom appreciates that play, and then in the 8th inning, just a beautiful play. Siciliani had been moved from center to left, ends up throwing Maben out at the plate. Double play for Jack Leathersich and the Mets.
Well, now Hansel Robles, who had a save in 2010 in the Dominican Summer League. He had a save in 2011 in the Appalachian League, and that's the last time he's had a save in a professional baseball game.
Well, that's the protocol now, Gary, to get you ready for the 2015 season.
So Robles will try and do something he's never done in the major leagues. Familia's got 18 saves. Buddy Carlisle had 1. Alex Torres has 1. And now Robles tries to get one. Eric Campbell will come in and play third base. He'll bat 4th where the pitcher had been, so the pitcher goes in the 8 hole as Muno comes out. Chris Johnson leads off in the 9th inning for Atlanta, 0 for 3. And Robles' first pitch fastball misses, ball 1. 24-year-old Hansel Robles, who was just moved from a starting role to the bullpen last year in the minor leagues. So this is a very new experience.
If you watch him pitch, you got to love his arm. Just whether he can, the evolution of his slider as a reliever can get a little better, but as far as his fastball, lots of movement.
And with a 2-run lead, no reason not to be throwing lots of fastballs to start this 9th inning.
Throwing 98.
Andrelton Simmons, whom the Mets have not retired today, is on deck. And then the pitcher spot. 2-1 coming. And Johnson golfs it foul, 2-2. On the Atlanta bench, they have one switch hitter in Todd Cunningham, whom we saw as a pinch hitter last night. Everybody else is right-handed. Freddie Gonzalez trying to figure out a way to come back against a Mets team that's beaten the Braves 5 straight times. 2-2 from Robles to Chris Johnson. Full count, 99 up and away. th major league outing for Robles. 3-2 pitch, and it hits the bat. It's a foul ball.
That's right. It wasn't that Chris Johnson attempted to swing. That ball just rode in on him. There's nothing he could do. He's really trying to get out of the way, and it just catches the label.
Bad luck for Johnson. Would have been ball 4. Robles in 12 2/3 has walked 5, struck out 13. He's got a 3-2 count to his first batter with a 2-run lead. Can't walk him. Down the right field line, and that'll go foul. Out of town scores brought to you by the Dodge Drive-In Discovery event. Pirates up 4-3 on the Phillies in the 8th. The Nats trying to close out the Brewers 7-2 in the 9th. Again the 3-2, and Johnson takes ball 4. So Robles does exactly what he did not want to do, and he walks the leadoff hitter, and now the tying run will come to bat. Only the second walk for Med pitching this afternoon. Andrelton Simmons has walked and singled twice. The last time he drilled one off the wall and left. Kadire made a great play playing the carom, and it wound up saving the Mets a run. It was the inning that ended with Flores making that great play behind second base on Jace Peterson. Mets have made all the plays and gotten all the big outs in this series, but they have more to get. And Simmons fouls back the first fastball, 0-1.
It looked like the swing from last season from Simmons as he was trying to go deep. He's been a thorn in the side for the Mets so far this year.
Juan Uribe out on deck to pinch hit for the Braves. Simmons now has 11 hits in 25 at bats against the Mets this season. That's a .440 clip. Johnson at first, nobody out, and Simmons swings through the fastball off balance. 0-2.
Again, his home run swing makes him late on this fastball. And we've talked about it the first 2 games of this series. They don't strike out a lot, although DeGrom got him today in the shadows. But does he shorten up with 2 strikes? Try to put it in play.
0-2 from Robles. Hit the other way, a base hit for Simmons. And now the Braves have the tying runs on base. Boy, what a day for Andrelton Simmons. Second time today he's been behind in the count, and he's gone to right field for a hit. He's 3 for 3 and a walk.
Well, just too good of a pitch. You know, when you're ahead of a hitter 0-2, you've got to use that to your advantage. Catches too much of the plate. Simmons, like we said, and thought he was going to cut down on his swing, and got himself a base hit.
Alex Torres up in the Mets bullpen. The Mets trying to stagger through the 9th without Jeurys Familia. It's not going well so far for Hansel Robles. Now we'll get the veteran Juan Uribe, who started last night at third base and went 1 for 4 with a double.
This guy will play home run derby on you too. Big swinger.
Johnson at second. Simmons the tying run at first. Nobody out. And Uribe takes a fastball for a strike.
I don't think Robles has thrown one slider yet, Gary.
Might be time to mix one in. Uribe 2 for 6 as a pinch hitter this year. And a check swing tapper. That goes foul. And once again, Robles finds himself ahead in the count 0-2. Jace Peterson waiting on deck.
Important for the catcher Darno to let Robles know he's got to pitch around the strike zone. Don't give Uribe a pitch to hit. Good bad ball hitter.
0-2. Struck him out. Uribe went after the slider, and that's the first out of the ninth inning.
Well, a good slider there, off the plate away. Home plate umpire Quinn Wolcott makes the call, and I believe the correct one.
So 1 out, 2 aboard, and now Jace Peterson, who's 1 for 4 today, robbed of a hit by Flores to end the 7th inning. Johnson at second, Simmons at first, and 1 out. And Peterson swings through the fastball, 0-1.
Well, the 2-0-2 pitches for Simmons right down the middle. The end result, the base hit to right field and to Uribe, a foot outside. That's the difference between pitching and throwing.
Peterson hits a double play ball. Flores bobbles, gets the out. Herrera can't make the turn. The little bobble by Flores cost the Mets a game-ending double play. So now 2 out. The tying run still on base, and Cameron Maybin coming up.
Well, it would have been the second night in a row with a game-ending double play, but let me tell you, this ball was scalded off the bat of Jace Peterson and had a lot of spin working the other way. Catches Wilmer right on his right foot. He was lucky enough to come up with that play and to get an out.
So now the Braves are down to their final out, but they've got a hot hitter in Cameron Maybin, who's hit the ball hard his last 2 times up, lined out to center, and then drilled a double to left center. Johnson at third, Peterson at first, 2 out. Hansel Robles trying to weather his way for his first major league save. And Maybin loops one to left. That's going to fall for a base hit. Johnson is in. Stopping at second is Simmons. Maybin with an RBI hit, and now it's a 3-2 Met lead. And the tying run is on second base. And who's coming up? Freddie Freeman.
Well, it's a pretty good slider down, but not moving too much, and Maybin jumps all over it, kind of off the end of the bat, so it drops in front of Siciliani for the second Braves run.
Terry Collins out to the mound. He's got Alex Torres ready in the bullpen to face Freddie Freeman, and Torres will get the save chance. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon, America's largest and most reliable 4G LTE network. Hold on. Save of his major league career against Miami. He'll be asked to get 1 out, but a tough one to get his second.
Well, struggled a little in last night's game, going 2/3 of an inning, giving up a run, but one of the best left-handed hitters in the league against Torres, who owns righties. It's lefties that give him a bit of trouble.
Freddie Freeman responsible for the first Braves run, hit one to the Shea Bridge in the first inning. Since then he struck out, grounded out, hit the foul fly down the left field line that Siciliani turned into a double play in the 8th. Peterson, the tying run at second. Maben, the go-ahead run at first. 2 down. Top of the ninth. 3-2 New York. Freeman walked against Alex last night. Robles can only look on with his 2 runners sitting on base. One heavy-duty assignment for Alex Torres. And Freeman goes after that first pitch changeup, 0-1.
Boy, that was a good one there. Trying to jump all over the first pitch fastball he thought he was going to get. Gets a change instead, just like he tried to do to DeGrom, did do to DeGrom in his first at bat.
Freeman's home run in the first inning was his 15th against the Mets, his 12th this year. And now Torres ahead of him, 0-2. And the Braves are down to their final strike. Upstairs, 1-2.
You'd have to think that high fastball was just meant to set up changeup in the dirt.
Just make sure you get it in the dirt.
Right.
One and 2 to Freddie Freeman. Just missed. Fastball at 93 inches off the plate.
That's a good call by Walcott. That ball's off the plate.
He threw him a high fastball. He threw him a fastball just off the corner. Would he throw him another fastball?
Boy, you don't want to get beat with your second best pitch. His first best pitch is this changeup.
Two wide, and now it's a full count to Freeman after Alex got ahead 0-2, and that means an automatic start, and that's huge. Peterson at second, more importantly Maben at first will be running. Maben's carrying that lead run at first base, and he can fly. Three and 2 to Freddie Freeman. And he just got a piece. An emergency hack. And Freeman stays alive.
He's sitting fastball, reads changeup. At the very last minute is able to foul that off the forearm of d'Arnaud.
And d'Arnaud's going to take a moment and go out to talk to Torres, maybe as much to shake off whatever pain he might be feeling in his wrist right now.
That was surprising because usually the home plate umpire will ask the catcher if he needs a break. He'll go out and rub a ball up and give it to the pitcher. But obviously d'Arnaud said he was all right and then maybe needed a break.
The runners get set to take off. 3-2 from Torres. Hit toward the middle, base hit, and that'll tie up the ball game. Peterson comes in with the tying run. Freddie Freeman comes through with the Braves down to their final strike, and the Braves have tied it with 2 in the ninth. It's 3-3.
Well, they went with the fastball away, and Freeman just with that 2-strike hack we've been talking about this Braves team. Just put the ball in place, something good could happen, and he finds a hole. Peterson to score easily. Maben with all that speed, first to third. That's where the go-ahead run sits for the Braves.
And now Nick Markakis will get another chance. It was Markakis who put a crimp in the Braves' night last night with the game-ending double play. He bats here with the go-ahead run at third and 2 out. 1 for 4 today, and he takes a fastball for a strike. So the Mets trying to patch it together without Jeurys Familia, unable to do so. And now Torres charged with just trying to keep this game tied and giving the Mets a chance to win it in the bottom of the ninth. 0-1 to Markakis.
I mean, you don't get a shorter stroke than you do from Freeman. Takes it back, delivers the head right to the ball, head of the bat right to the ball. No follow through at all.
Second RBI of the day, 39th of the year for Freeman. And Markakis strokes one foul, 1-2. Carlos Torres getting ready in the bullpen with Johnny Gomes standing on deck. Braves now 3 runs and 10 hits. The Mets 3 runs, 9 hits. Mets scored 3 in the 7th. They go up 3-1. That lead held until the 9th. 1-2 to Markakis. Strike 3 called, and he knew it. So Torres gets the third out, but not before the Braves rally for 2. Now the Mets will come up in the bottom of the ninth with Lagares, Granderson, and d'Arnaud trying to win it for New York. Braves were down to their final out, rallied for 2. Juan Uribe will stay in the game at third base. And Jim Johnson will pitch the bottom of the ninth for Atlanta.
Well, you can see his numbers so far this year. Interesting year for Johnson because he's coming probably off one of the worst years of his career.
Sinker ball pitcher whose fastball velocity is better this year than it's been in the last couple.
Mets have already rallied against Johnson once this year in Atlanta.
Juan Lagares, who got the Mets rally started in the 7th inning, will lead off in the bottom of the ninth. Lagares came up as a pinch hitter in the 7th, singled up the middle, and the Mets rallied for 3 against Shelby Miller and Dana Evelyn. Now they face Johnson in a 3-3 game in the bottom of the ninth. And the first pitch fastball on the corner, 0-1. Lagares, Granderson, and d'Arnaud, and if anybody gets on, Lucas Duda for the Mets, who had a walk-off victory here on Thursday night against the Giants. And Lagares thinking about a bunt. Uribe was playing right at the cutout at third. 1-1. Lagares has had 2 career at bats against Jim Johnson, and he's 2 for 2. And wouldn't you like to be like Juan? Toward the middle of the diamond, but Simmons flashes over. And it gets Lagares by a stride, one away. Well, the Mets lost Eric Goodell to the disabled list. They had Jerry's Familia unavailable today, and just not enough bullpen to get through that ninth inning.
Well, I think what's interesting is that Shelby Miller couldn't get through the seventh, so that really cost the Braves and having to use their bullpen. And then you see the Mets without Familia. You really understand that he's been the most valuable player on this ball club, because without him, you can see other guys have to be moved up and highly leveraged situations, and they don't react the same way as they do sometimes in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings.
There's Granderson, and he nubs one to the left side, and Uribe guns him out, 2 away. So Granderson, who had base hits his previous 2 at bats, has that one cue off the end of the bat for the second out.
And we talked about the Braves don't shift a lot. If they had been in a shift there, that would have been a base hit.
So now it's d'Arnaud who delivered the tying base hit in the 7th inning. d'Arnaud playing his 3rd game since coming off the disabled list, 4 for 12 so far in the 3 games. And he has really hit the ground running. Surprising only in that he really didn't have as many rehab at bats in the minor leagues as the Mets would have hoped. But rushed up here because Kevin Plawecki was ailing. Hammered down to 3rd, and that is a foul ball. Third base umpire Lance Barksdale waited until it was in Uribe's glove to be sure that was foul.
Well, good call here. Just wait long enough. Sometimes the problem is that the body of the third baseman gets in front of the umpire, and it makes it a really difficult call. Barksdale hasn't been wrong at all, though, this 2 days, first 2 games.
And d'Arnaud takes a slider for a strike, 0-2.
I wonder if d'Arnaud being sent down last season, having to work on his game and come back, helped him get ready quicker this year in his rehabilitation effort. I don't know.
0-2 from Johnson, and d'Arnaud takes up and away, 1-2. Jim Johnson, who grew up in upstate New York, went to Union Endicott High School in Endicott, New York. Resurrecting his career in Atlanta this year. Trying to get this game to extra innings. 2-2. Shelby Miller went 6 1/3, allowed 3 runs, 8 hits. Danny Evelyn gave up an RBI double, but Nick Massick had a couple of outs, and Luis Avedon worked a 1-2-3-8 to keep the Braves in the game, and they tied it in the 9th. And now a full count to d'Arnaud with Duda looming on deck.
Tried to sinker on the 2-2 count. He threw a breaking ball earlier that he got for a called 3rd strike, but I think other than Murphy, I think d'Arnaud's the best breaking ball hitter on the Mets team.
3-2 coming to Travis, and he fouls one back. High fastball that time from Johnson.
Gonna get fastballs. You don't want to face Duda.
Campbell hitting in the 5th hole, or the 4th hole. He's behind Duda. Again, the 3-2 on the outside corner. d'Arnaud caught looking, and we're going to extra innings. So a 1-2-3 ninth for Jim Johnson. 8 straight Mets retired. We go to the 10th, tied at 3.
By our count, have a couple pitchers left. Carlos Torres and Sean Gilmartin left in the bullpen.
Familia is technically available, but clearly the Mets are staying away from him. Otherwise, we would have seen him already. So Torres will be the 6th Met pitcher. Jacob DeGrom went 7, which is, all you can really ask for. He won a lot of run on 5 hits, struck out 9. Leathersich got a couple of outs. Parnell got an out in the 8th. But Robles and Alex Torres unable to seal it in the 9th. A couple of 2-out hits by Maben and Freeman. And the Braves tied the game. Now Johnny Gomes leads off the 10th. Gomes came up as a pinch hitter in the 8th at a base hit against Parnell. This will be his 2nd at bat. And he goes after the cutter and misses nothing in 1. Gomes, Pierzynski, and the pitcher spot for the Braves in the 10th. They still have 3 players on their bench. 2 right-hand hitters, Pedro Siriaco and Christian Bethencourt, the backup catcher, and a switch hitter, Todd Cunningham. Ball and a strike to Gomes.
Oh, it's too bad that Robles and Torres couldn't hold that lead. This game had great stories for everyone, right? From Parnell to DeGrom, Siciliani.
Well, I will say this. For all of last night and most of today, the Mets lived very dangerously, but got huge outs, got big defensive plays, and just not able to get that 27th out. Check swing, and Gomes stopped it in time. 2-2. At some point, if you play with fire, it's going to burn your fingers.
Well, or you can look at it this way. A new hero maybe is going to emerge.
And now a full count to Gomes. Well, this is where Robles ran into trouble in the 9th. He walked the leadoff hitter Chris Johnson, and that set up the inning for the Braves. Three-two to Gomes. In the air to left field. Siciliani calling. Not that easy. 1 out. Well, kept moving away from him.
Yeah, exactly. I think he had it easy. He's yelling for it. I got it. I got it. But at the last second, just got that at the end of the webbing.
And by the way, you always have to watch out for Lagares because he thinks he has everything.
Well, I think with Siciliani, though, he knows there's a good outfielder out there, and he doesn't have to cover as much ground.
Now Pierzynski, 38-year-old catcher, playing day game after a night game, turning into a night game. He's 0 for 4, and he takes the curveball for a strike from Torres. Carlos worked last night for an inning and a third. No runs, 1 hit. They've turned the lights on now, and they're starting to take a little bit of effect as we move past 7:20 in the evening. 1-1, and Pierzynski can't catch up with the fastball. 1-2.
But I know caught that ball funny, like he was expecting a different pitch. There's Cunningham on deck.
One-two from Torres, and misses outside. So Torres, who throws cutter, throwing a couple of straight fastballs.
Well, I think he's trying to change it up a little bit, especially against the left-handed hitters. Again, another fastball away.
Got him looking. And Pierzynski expressing his displeasure as he walks away.
Been watching that all day, catching. Should know that that's a pretty good pitch.
Well, you don't want to exacerbate anything between yourself and the umpire, particularly if you're the catcher. That's 12 strikeouts for Met pitchers today.
Let's see that pitch again. I thought it was a good pitch. Knees black. Let's see over the overhead. That's too close to take. Come on, AJ.
So now it's Todd Cunningham, who appeared as a pinch hitter last night and lined out to left field. Those are Pierzynski's numbers, but this is Todd Cunningham at the plate.
That's an argument that starts because you're a older player catching day game after a night game. That's this tired arguing right there.
Wants to get the game over with. Little tapper for Torres to handle. So Carlos comes in and throws a very effective 1-2-3 inning. Now the Mets will have Lucas Duda to lead off in the bottom of the 10th, tied at 3. All tied up at 3. In-game box score brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Curtis Granderson with a couple of hits. Travis d'Arnaud with a tying RBI. Lucas Duda drove in a run with a double. Braves, though, tied it in the 9th. Most teams will save their closer on the road for a save opportunity, but Freddie Gonzalez just can't afford to do that.
Oh, they can't. They just used everyone in that bullpen too much. They have Brandon Caniff out there and David Artsma. But they're going to take a chance here that Grilli can pitch 1, maybe even force him into 2 innings.
So the 38-year-old from Seton Hall will pitch the bottom of the 10th against Duda, Campbell, and Flores.
Haven't seen a one-swing, one-pitch walk-off in a while.
Duda had a walk-off home run late last season against the Astros. He'll move Uribe over to the right side into shallow right field in the shift against Duda, who has 2 doubles today. Nice bounce-back day for him after getting the day off yesterday. And Grilli's going to keep it away from him, ball 1. Well, the Braves bullpen, which has been an Achilles heel, has retired 8 straight Mets. Massett, Avilan, Johnson, and now Grilli trying to pick up the reins. And not really behind on Duda, 2-0.
Freeman's not taking any chances at first base. I mean, he's almost got his left foot on the line.
If it's a fair ball, he'll have it unless it's to his right.
He's got a ball that's 3 feet foul, I think.
Really behind 2-0. And Duda takes a mighty hack and fouls it back. Well, that's the pitch he wanted.
Ready.
Barely any dirt between the foot and the line. Duda 0 for 3 in his career against Grilli. And the breaking ball misses, and now it's 3-1. Grilli last year pitched for the Pirates and the Angels. Started out his career with the Marlins back in 2000. He's been with 8 different major league teams. Most notably as a closer in Pittsburgh in 2013, an all-star that year. And Duda with another fastball that he fouls off, 3-2.
Lucas shaking his head. He knows he had 2 pitches there to hit. Got to remember, if he's going to keep him away, he can still go deep to left field. Warm afternoon or evening now. rally hand instead of the rally cap.
They're ready
for the high five
at the appropriate time.
That's funny.
And the breaking ball strikes out Duda for the first down in the bottom of the 10th. So Grilli throws a 3-2 slider and gets the strikeout. That's 8 strikeouts for Braves pitching today.
And a good pitch by the veteran. He just saw one too many fastballs right on by Duda, so changed it up. And
next time,
take it back.
Now Eric Campbell gets his first turn at bat. Campbell came in a double switch in the 9th. Went 0 for 4 yesterday. Campbell hits a weak ground ball, and Simmons comes in to get it. 2 out. So that's 10 in a row retired by the Atlanta bullpen. The first batter against the Atlanta pen was Duda, and he doubled against Dana Evelyn to drive in the 3rd Met run. And since then, that Atlanta pen, so beleaguered, has been perfect. Now it's Wilmer Flores with 2 out and nobody on. Wilmer had a long double to left center back in the 6th, 1 for 4. That's playing their 3rd extra inning game of the year. They've got a 14-inning win against the Cardinals and a 10-inning win against the Phillies. Braves are 1-3 in extra innings. And a weak tapper back to Grilli. So Grilli, after falling behind Duda, has what turns out to be a dominating inning. And we head off to the 11th. Mets and Braves still tied at 3. At the double play ball to short, a little bobble by Wilmer Flores, and the door was open.
And by that time, Freeman came up, took a tough at bat, took a tough pitch on the outside part, but still was able to stay in that at bat and deliver the single to tie this ball game. You know, after seeing that ground ball from Peterson, I said at the beginning that it was hit sharply, which it was, but that play has got to be made.
And you know, people don't like to hear it when you talk about Wilmer Flores because he's played awfully well.
Yeah.
But there are certain plays that a shortstop has got to make.
Well, it's a different kind of position. It's not a position where you can hide anyone. You know, those you see it around the league. You certainly see it with this young man who's up for the Braves. But, you know, those defensive plays you rely on your shortstop to make at the key moments. And the bobble cost him.
Nothing more important than the 27th out, and the Mets didn't get it, and the Braves took advantage. Simmons had a big day, 3 for 3 and a walk. He was right in the middle of that 9th inning rally with a 2-strike hit against Hansel Robles. Juan Uribe hitting 9th in the order on deck, and then Jace Peterson for the Braves in the 11th. Second inning of work for Carlos Torres. Almost got him 1, 2, 3 in the 10th. So you've got Torres, who has shown that he can go deep into the games as a reliever. And then you've got Sean Gilmartin, a former starter, left in that bullpen. Up the middle, and it's a base hit for Simmons, his 4th hit of the game. So again behind in the count, he's able to get a base hit. He's used right field. This time he uses the middle of the diamond, and Simmons is on to start the 11th.
Really, Simmons is a better hitter once he gets the 2 strikes because he doesn't try to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Just tries to make contact and hit the ball hard. Gets on top of that high cutter. Mistake pitch by Carlos Torres.
So Simmons has a 4-hit game. Let's see what they do with Uribe, who struck out in his only at bat as a pinch hitter in the 9th and stayed in at third base. Mets are not looking for the bunt.
Throw over to see if he'll tip his hand, but I don't think you, especially on the road, Uribe bunt here. His forte is hitting the ball out of the ballpark, extra base hits, got some speed on the bases.
Leadoff hitter Jace Peterson on deck, and Uribe swinging and fouls it off. Well, the Nats won this afternoon. They beat Milwaukee 7-2. First career win for Joe Ross. So the Mets, if they were to win, would stay a game and a half in front of the Nats. If they lose, their lead will shrink to a half game.
See those numbers in the last 10. Only one team had over a 500 week. Well, not week, last 10 games.
Simmons with just 1 stolen base on the year. And Uribe hits it hard off the glove of Herrera, who can't find it. Duda has to track it down. Simmons will stop at second. Well, it was a line drive that hit Herrera's glove, but he couldn't hold it. They're going to score that a base hit for Uribe.
Swung on that cutter, and the ball in between. Boy, it's a play that you'd like to see made. Line drive just eludes Herrera at second base. Simmons had to wait, and then once it bounced and caromed off Herrera, went to second base.
So some plays not made on the Mets infield. 3 errors by Danny Muno, tying the Mets club record. The double play not turned in the 9th. Now Herrera unable to catch a line drive. And the Braves have it set up first and second. Nobody out. Jace Peterson coming up. And the Mets looking for the bunt. Peterson wants a face-to-face conversation with his third base coach, Bo Porter.
There shouldn't be any face-to-face here. This is a bunt situation. Dead and simple.
You've got Maben and Freeman, 2 red-hot hitters behind him. Peterson is 1 for 5 today. He hit the double play ball that Flores didn't handle in the 9th. Otherwise, everybody would be eating dinner right now. First and second and nobody out. And Peterson bunts it toward third, and Campbell fields the fair ball and throws to first. He looked behind him as though he was expecting somebody to cover third. He could have let it go foul, but he picked it up, and the sacrifice is successful.
Well, he's surprised here. The bunt kind of surprised him. It's in the air. Once he couldn't catch it, I would have let this go foul, personally. Just let it go foul and let your pitcher go after Peterson again. They can try to put it down again.
I don't understand why Campbell looked behind him. Did he expect Flores to be covering third?
Well, the wheel play cannot be run with Wilmer Flores. He doesn't have the foot speed to do it.
So some confusion there for Campbell. Boy, the Mets have really made some mistakes on the defensive end on the infield today. And this has been a concern for so long.
Here's the defense on the bunt, okay? The fake by Flores for the pickoff. So there's not going to be anyone at third base. So what Campbell has to do there with the kind of angle that ball was on, just let it go foul. Make Peterson rebunt.
You know, the only thing I can think of with him turning around was that he thought maybe Simmons froze and maybe he could beat him to the bag.
Beat him to the bag, or maybe he froze like a line drive.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
That's the only conceivable reason, right? So now Cameron Maben comes up, and you got to pitch to him because you got Freddie Freeman standing on deck, and the infield will come in. So a huge spot for Torres here, with Simmons at third and Uribe at second. 1 out. 3-3 game, 11th inning. Maben had base hits his last 2 times up, and he drove in a run in the 9th inning to keep the Braves alive with 2 out. And you see he's leading the league in hitting with runners in scoring position.
And hitting great in June, and on and on and on.
And Freddie Freeman also on that list, looming on deck. Curveball from Torres. Well, Torres is not a strikeout pitcher, but if he can get a strikeout here, then you can walk Freeman, maybe have a chance to get through the inning.
Well, he can get strikeouts when he needs them to. He knows how to do that. Might have to throw a pitch up and in to Maben. You can get a pop-up in this situation also.
And Maben lines a base hit, and the Braves grab the lead. Simmons scores right behind him, Uribe. Third hit of the game for Maben. And the Braves score twice in the 11th inning and lead it 5-3.
Well, the young center fielder who had some misadventures running around the bases earlier in this game comes through with a huge hit here in the 11th inning. Curveball, down, pretty good pitch, caught a little too much of the plate, but still better hitting than a bullet up the middle. You know, just really the game now. Before it had great storylines.
Freeman down to Duda, gets the out at first, the throw to second, but safe there is Maben. So that's the second out of the inning, as Freeman's retired by Duda, 3 unassisted, and Maben at second with 2 out.
Ball jams Freeman. Good play by Lucas. Yeah, just get the out. He didn't need to throw this, though. That could have gone into the outfield. Maben has all that great speed, but stop this from going down the line. I was going to say the storylines before this went into extra innings was all about DeGrom, Siciliani, and others. Now it's going to be the inexperience of infield play today cost the Mets now as they are behind by 2 runs.
So walk Markakis intentionally with first base open and go after Johnny Gomes instead. This all began with Andrelton Simmons picking up his 4th hit of the day. 3 of the 4 have come with him behind in the count. 0-2 or 1-2. Uribe followed with one that appeared to be in the glove of Dilson Herrera, but he couldn't squeeze it and went for a base hit, a sacrifice, and then Maben's 2-run single putting the Braves in front. I mean, you've got some just poor infield play, which has certainly contributed to this, but also the inability of the Mets without Jerry's Familia to close down the game in the 9th inning. And they had the Braves down to their final out and at one point to their final strike and couldn't seal the deal.
Well, came into this series talking about the depleted Braves bullpen. It was depleted Mets bullpen that's hurt them so far today.
So now Johnny Gomes with 2 out and 2 on. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 11th, the Mets will have Siciliani, Herrera, and the pitcher spot. They've got Recker, Plawecki, and Mayberry available off the bench. And I don't know if Jason Grilli's getting a second inning or if they're going to go further into their bullpen to try and finish this game off. Certainly, if you're Freddie Gonzalez, you can't be comfortable yet the way things have gone recently. And Gomes takes inside ball 1.
Well, I know if Grilly's a gamer, I'm sure he went up to Freddie and said, hey, I can give you 2.
And they only threw 8 pitches in that 10th inning. So there's every reason to think he could pitch the 11th. Gomes takes a fastball strike, 1-1. Well, nobody's throwing in that Atlanta bullpen right now. And Gomes lifts one to center. Easy for Lagares. That'll do it for the Braves in the top of the 11th, but Cameron Maben's 3rd hit of the day. He's got a 3 RBI afternoon. Simmons got it started with his 4th hit of the day. Herrera couldn't squeeze it. Maben takes advantage. 5-3 Atlanta going to the bottom of the 11th. 11th, and they'll do it against a pitcher who has been working as a starter for the Braves. 24-year-old rookie Williams Perez. This will be his third relief outing to go with 5 starts.
Yeah, you see the numbers that might make Siciliani want to wait on Perez. 17 walks and only 32 in the 3rd innings pitched.
He started against the Padres on Wednesday. Went 7 innings. Pitched very well. 1 unearned run on 4 hits. But here he is on 2 days rest, coming on in relief and looking for his first major league save.
Well, this had to be one of those cases where they told him before the game, you are not throwing on the side. If we're going to need you for the game, this will be your throwing on the side.
Well, Freddie Gonzalez has had to get creative with the bullpen that's been struggling, and it's working for him so far today. The Braves bullpen's retired 11 in a row. He used his closer Grilli in the 10th and got a 1-2-3 inning. Now Grilli has a chance to be a winning pitcher if Williams Perez can notch the save. So he's in the same spot that Hansel Robles was in the 9th inning for the Mets. Daryl Siciliani will lead off. Dilson Herrera behind him, and then the pitcher's spot, and John Mayberry has a bat in his hands to pinch hit. And Siciliani takes a knee-high strike.
Good sinking fastball there from Perez. There's Herrera.
Siciliani 1 for 4 today. Perez has thrown his sinker 62% of the time. So that is his pitch. Throw a curveball and a changeup as well. Stocky right-hander from Venezuela. And Siciliani ropes one into center field. Maben won't get it. It's a base hit. And the Mets will get the tying run to bat in the bottom of the 11th. So Daryl Siciliani continues to excel. His second hit of the day.
Just take great at-bats. This one a line drive. I thought Maben for a second had a shot at it, but played it on one hop. Almost got by him. He's got a quick swing, stays in that zone a long time, and a line drive from Siciliani.
So now Dilson Herrera comes to bat. He's 1 for 4 today. Mets have 10 hits on the afternoon. They need more. And Perez misses for ball 1. John Mayberry, who homered last night, is on deck to pinch hit. Toward the hole, base hit. And the Mets have the tying runs on base. Dilson Herrera finds the hole. First and second, nobody out.
Well, it breaks his bat. Sinker inside, but like you said, Gary, just found a hole between Uribe and Simmons. Right at the label. But Herrera's strong enough to get the base hit. And the Mets are in business.
So now it's John Mayberry, and no thought of the bunt here. Mayberry, who's been swinging the bat much better of late, started last night in left field. Had an infield hit, a walk, and a 2-run homer. Mayberry with 3 home runs on the season. Williams Perez pressed into service, trying to close, and now he's up against it. Mayberry takes a fastball for a strike. John is 2 for 15 as a pinch hitter this year. He's already had a walk-off hit this year in the 14-inning win against the Cardinals.
Well, they've really quieted down his swing, and that's why he's seeing more success.
Right back to the mound, and it's a foul ball. It came off Mayberry's foot. Mayberry wasn't sure. Perez wasn't sure. And Mayberry, who broke his bat, will go back for a new one.
Well, I think what happened with this play is that once he hit it off his foot, everyone knew it hit his foot, but Mayberry ran, and that's what startled everyone. Broke his bat at the same time, too.
Well, this was last night against Alex Wood.
Oh, big home run. He's brought here to hit left-handers. Big hit against Alex Wood, who was not giving up any home runs until last night's game. And you can see home runs by pinch hitters. We showed it to you before for Johnny Gomes. Mayberry Jr. on that list also.
Now he's going to have to fight from behind in the count. Juan Lagares sitting ninth in the order is on deck. Curtis Granderson behind him. First and second and nobody out. Mets down by 2 in the 11th. And Mayberry lines one right at Simmons. Throw to second, and they get the double play on Siciliani. And the Mets are down to their final out. Siciliani straying a little too far, and Simmons able to double them up.
Well, the mistake here is that you are not the tying run. Your run means nothing. So if you're on second base, you've got to stay close, go base to base. That's the problem, the mistake that Siciliani made there. You got to know where the fielders are, and calmly and coolly, Simmons gets 2.
So a promising start to the inning. Now the Mets are pushed up against the wall. And it's a ground ball for Peterson. Makes the flip to Simmons, and the Braves escape with the victory. The Mets let a 2-run lead get away with 2 out in the 9th inning. Andrelton Simmons has a huge day. Cameron Maybin with 3 hits and 3 RBIs. And the Braves rally with 2 in the 9th and 2 in the 11th to beat the Mets 5-3.
Well, for me, as soon as the game was tied, it became a story of defense and some mistakes by the Mets. A double play they couldn't turn. 3 errors by their third baseman. Second baseman Herrera couldn't come up with a line drive. Campbell at third base didn't let a bunt go foul and played it into a sacrifice. And then the mistake by Siciliani on the bases.
So the Braves, who had lost 5 straight to the Mets, rally from down to their final strike in the 9th to beat New York today. It denies Jacob DeGrom a victory. DeGrom pitched great for 7 innings, allowed just a run on 5 hits. But the Mets just made too many mistakes, and the Braves had the big hits late in the game. And they rally for a 5-3 11-inning victory at Citi Field this afternoon to even up the series at a game apiece. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.